But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody's checking it out.
I don't know whether rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And, of course, 88.4 FM, Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're going to do what we should have done last night. But sorry about that, the mix-up. I had a Rode update. It's the board, the sound card that I use, basically. And it updated about 20 minutes before showtime, and it screwed everything up, as you could tell. It was all static and just all ridiculous. And, yeah, anyway. So we're doing tonight what we should have done last night, which is, of course, that crazy heist at the Louvre. Did you guys hear about that? Yeah, it's something that is seems to be a pattern, actually, by the way, which is funny historically, that the Louvre itself has been burgled in the daylight. But in this particular case, it's one of those situations where they got away with some really, really expensive stuff. Okay, now the bizarre part is, well, there's a lot of bizarre parts to it. The write-up again came out yesterday, so if you guys read it, you're ahead of the game and know what's going on. But I'll brief you on the deets on what happened here, just the facts and only the facts, and then we'll get to the weird and wild speculation as part of it. As a ritual, maybe some sort of modern-day ritual, which we talk about often on this show. And the question becomes regarding that, by the way, keep your tinfoil hats strapped on tight, and wonder if rituals exist in 2025 in the sense that the elites are doing dirty shenanigans using, again, back to the Rohan principle. Shout out, Paul. We miss you. Rest in peace, my friend. The Rohan principle is what's more terrifying? Is it that the elites are actually using ritual magic against us and it's real? Or is it that ritual magic is not real whatsoever, but these weirdos are still doing it anyway, kind of pantomiming and LARPing like it is? So I leave that question to you, but we start here. This is from the New York Times, and there's a lot of articles about this, a lot of talk about it the last couple days or last 24 hours. But basically, the wild part is that the internet has gone nuts with memes and all the rest of it. But let me just read you the deets. You guys probably are familiar with the story now because yesterday it was breaking news. Now it might be old news. That's the way the world works, right? But anyway, in just 7 brazen minutes, thieves grab priceless jewels from the Louvre. You know, the Louvre, the fancy French actual museum, the Paris museum that houses the Mona Lisa, among other amazing antiquities. But check it out. So the robbers employed a portable electric ladder to break into a second-floor wing of the Paris museum that holds the French crown jewels. Ah, the crown jewels. Okay, so there's some great pictures in this article by the New York Times. I usually don't tout them as being a great source because, you know, propaganda, they do a lot of that. But this is actually a good piece because they're not like, we blame it on a politician or something. But anyway, but I guess it's devolved into that in France. Anybody, a shout out to Sylvain. Thanks for the repost over there. Maybe Sylvain knows what the politics of this looks like living over there in France. But anyway, so straight from the article, the doors of the world's grandest museum had been open to the public for just 30 minutes when 2 burglars were lifted up onto a second-floor balcony on the building's south side. Their faces concealed, they rode a monte meubles, pardon my French, or a truck-mounted electric ladder that is a common sight on the streets of Paris. I've got a picture here we'll show you in a sec, where it is used to ferry bulky furniture through the windows of apartments. Cool. Sounds legit. Once there, they used grinders to break a window, setting off the security alarms, and burst inside the gilded Galerie d'Apollon, which is Apollo's gallery. Okay, right. The ritual begins, right? Of the Louvre Museum, where a prized collection of royal jewels and crown diamonds is held in a succession of cases. There they smashed 2 cases, sounding more alarms, and snatched 8 precious objects, including a royal sapphire necklace, a royal emerald necklace and its matching earrings, and a diadem worn by Princess Eugenie, the wife of Napoleon III, France's 19th century ruler. Super cool, right? The burglars went back down the ladder to a road shouldering the Seine River and made their getaway with 2 waiting members of their team on motor scooters. What? Seriously? Okay. So they used this lift. Here's the picture of the jewels, by the way. Let me get my big head out of the way. And look, So they busted in. The entire thing took, when they first reported this, it took 4 minutes. And now they've got it, now that they got it timed and whatnot, it's now 7 minutes. So it took somewhere between 4 and 7 minutes for them to crack into this sucker on a second floor right there in broad daylight with the museum open and steal these precious, priceless artifacts. Okay, like how ridiculous is that? Well, it gets even more wild when you look at all the crazy stuff. I've never been to the Louvre. Many of you maybe have. I heard it's a life-changing experience. All kinds of amazing stuff there. But check this out. This is the lift that they used, which it's a truck with like a ladder that goes up to the balcony, and it's got like a little basket lift, that kind of trucks them up to the top. I mean, it seems ridiculous to suggest that, with a couple motor scooters, a grinder, and they were wearing those yellow and orange jackets, like the safety vests that like a construction worker might, and masks. So they stood out almost as if they were working on the Louvre or something so who would look twice? Because, if you hold a clipboard and walk into places, people don't question you because they think you're official, right? Or if you, look like you're dressed the part, wearing the safety vest and a construction space, people, kind of don't notice. And by the time, again, 4 to 7 minutes was the window. They got in, they got out. and they stole 8 pieces of this priceless Napoleonic stuff, the crown jewels. It's crazy to consider, right? But of course, it got me thinking about time of year. It got me thinking about As the Veil Thins. It got me thinking about Samhain and all the rest of this stuff, and back to ritual magic. Okay. So I'm going to make the case as we go tonight that this was a ritual, and it is still a ritual that's counting down, because they did this on Sunday morning, October the 19th, which, wouldn't you know, is exactly 12 days to All Hallows Eve, 12 days to Halloween. Okay. You got me? Sound check out there, 1, 2. I hope everything's okay. I hope everybody's doing well. Hello, good evening. What's happening, folks? I think we're good. I don't see any complaints. Looking for complaints. I don't see any complaints. Okay. So, all right. And so 12 days till Halloween, and we'll get to that. We'll get to what that means in a second here. The write-up is very good. I'll read a little bit from that as we go. But yeah, it's weird. So the question tonight is, and this is, so before we even get weird tonight, all the disclaimers apply. Okay, this is just wild speculation. There's no truth to be found here. We're looking at the world in a different way. And if you're here for truth, you're in the wrong place. This is just entertainment, for entertainment purposes only. Okay, but here's the thing regarding this. What do you think is going to happen with these things in the normal process? Because you can't go fence these on the black market. I mean, obviously, you know, you walk into the Pawn Stars down here in Vegas with this like crown and try and sell it to Rick at the pawn shop. He's going to be like, "Where'd you get that?" And they're going to be like, "Oh, I found it on the street." And he's going to be like, "Call the cops," right? There's no chance in the world. Like, this is one of the most famous heists that's happened. Like, people are talking about this all over the damn world. There's no way you sell this on a legitimate, normal black market. So what do you think is happening? And where do these things go? Is it into, and I've come up with a couple ideas myself, does it go to a super rich private collector? Or do they scrap these things down to scrap and sell the pieces, the jewels and the diamonds and all this, the emeralds and all the stuff, kind of piecemeal and try and get away with it that way? But even so, you can tell old cut gems versus new cut gems. So I don't even know. Anyway, so there's the first question of the night. What do you think is happening to this stuff? And do you think it is some Bond villain billionaire that's like, "Oh yeah, we're just going to, put it in our private collection"? Anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. We're going to get to the ritual part of this. We got James sitting in with us tonight. Thank you, James. We'll get to you in just a moment. But first, we're going to take a quick break. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Be right back. Let's play the Stoic Mindset. 1 minute. I'll catch you on the other side of the break. Be right back. Don't go anywhere. Feeling stressed? Overwhelmed? In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to get swept away by our emotions. Take a breath and find your inner strength with the Stoic Minute.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that we can't control everything in life, but we can control how we react.
The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts.
Focus on what you can influence. Cultivate a positive mindset and let go of what you can't change. Find your inner strength. Live each day with courage, wisdom, justice, and moderation. Embrace the Stoic virtues and find peace within. The Stoic Minute, brought to you by Jack in Oregon. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? Okay, so I'm calling this tonight Ritual Acquisition, Crown Jewels and Chaos Magic. And we'll get to that in a moment here. Let me read straight from the write-up here. And this is how it went. If you read this yesterday, you're ahead of the game, like I said. At 7:30 a.m., it was actually 9:30, so this is the correction as the information has been coming out. I was kind of on this on the tip of the spear yesterday, but here we are a day later. So at 9:30 a.m. on Sunday, October 19th, 2025, 4 thieves executed what French authorities are calling one of the most brazen museum heists in history. Using a cherry picker to reach the first floor balcony of the Louvre's Gallery of Apollo, the team cut through metal railings with angle grinders, smashed through protective glass cases, and seized 8 priceless Napoleon-era crown jewels, including pieces worn by Empress Josephine and Empress Marie-Louise during the height of the French Empire. The entire operation lasted 4 minutes. Again, that was the initial estimate. Now it's 7 minutes. The thieves fled on motorcycles toward the A6 auto route and vanished. Police found one item, the Empress Eugenie's crown, damaged and discarded outside the museum. No ransom demand has been issued. The 8 stolen pieces remain missing. Now, the weird part is that they went to all the trouble. They got in there. Of course, they were in a massive hurry, but then they dropped this crown, the Empress Eugenie's crown, and damaged it and left it behind. Now, of course, that's going to be evidence, fingerprints. I'm sure they were smart enough to wear gloves and all the rest of that. But beyond that, maybe they get DNA evidence on this thing. But they busted it up too. They dropped it. They haven't released pictures, at least as far as I've seen, regarding how damaged it is. But anyway, you get the idea. So they took 8 out of 9 of these pieces of the French royal crown jewels. All right. Now, numerologically, again, dime store numerology, I'm not a numerologist, but 8 out of 9 is very peculiar and very ritual. And not only that, if that's an accident, so be it. But as I said, let me just read. But the 4-minute Louvre robbery wasn't just a crime. It was a precision operation that defies conventional explanation. This happened exactly 12 days before Samhain in a solar temple built by the Sun King. During the threshold season, with Celtic tradition holds that veils between worlds thin and supernatural forces can cross previously impassable boundaries. Consider the material components. Yellow vests, which is what these thieves were wearing. Yellow and orange transformed common workers into ritual operators. The high visibility garments functioning as disguise through transmutation. Solar color masking lunar intention. Angle grinders produce showers of sparks as they cut through balcony railings. Fire elements invoked through metal on metal. The screaming sound serving to banish the museum's protective wards. Now, this is, of course, that chaos magic, and hold tight. Motorcycles become modern psychopomps, spectral steeds carrying stolen relics through Parisian streets. And the cherry picker, that mechanized ladder reaching up from ground level to the first floor balcony, functioned as a vertical threshold crossing between protected interior and profane exterior space. Now, that's just the ritual jargon as part of this, but here's the thing. The Napoleon crown jewels aren't merely historical artifacts. They represent concentrated power objects worn by emperors who shaped reality through will and military might. Now, I'm going to leave it there, but I'll get back to this. So, once again, what do you think is going on with this? And the most normie question of all, which again, non-linear, open-ended is how we do this show. If you want to talk about how they get rid of this, is it going into a private collection of a very rich person? Are they going to bust them up and try and whatever? What's going on with that? And yeah, shout out Raz over there on Rumble, mentioned in 1911, somebody stole the Mona Lisa from the Louvre, which is completely true. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. We're taking your calls tonight. Everything should be working, the phone line and the Discord. Thanks to James for testing. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Thanks for being patient, my man. Let's go to James Salcido. What's up, Salcido Paranormal? How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Coming through loud and clear. You sound fantastic.
Good. Yeah, this is an amazing topic. The crown itself to me is fascinating that it was still there. Like it in the whole, that item in and of itself being there still, because the sort of normal idea would be, well, they dropped it somehow, and that's how it was damaged. But then if you look at other possibilities of some kind of symbolism there, then did they just drop it, or did they drop it but they made sure they didn't just drop it? I mean, maybe they even threw it down intentionally to break it. I wonder also, I mean, how much would it take to damage a crown like that? I'm also curious about that. But and the idea of all these jewels and everything, those are types of crystals, of rocks that have been shaped. And as we talk about here on the show a lot, all those stones have their own energy to begin with, but then also you have people that are focused on them throughout time, and because of symbolism and all that, and just other things. And so you have all that human energy that is attached to those objects. And so for them to leave that crown, which is, again, it's not just, they didn't just leave one of the other random objects. They left the crown, the actual thing that would go on a person's head to symbolize they're in charge. So that's fascinating to me.
Yeah, again, whether it's intentional or not, it's very symbolic, absolutely. And look, we're talking about a collection of crown jewels is what they're termed, and they left the crown itself, which is, again, bizarre, weird, all manner of things start to, again, that's what was making my tinfoil tingle when I was reading this yesterday. That's what I was like, okay, This sounds very much like a ritual if you have an active imagination. And as you guys know, I do very much do. But the question really becomes, so what's going on with this in the most normie way? How do they get rid of it? Is it some private collector, some super rich, Bond villain or something? Think, I don't know, somebody who owns a super yacht and has a plastic wife. You know what I mean? Wink, wink. And I mean somebody very specific. But and I'm not accusing anybody of this, but I'm saying that there are very, very rich people that would pay a group of individuals to go do this, because clearly, what do you do once you get it? Let's say, for instance, it was just some randos that were like, hey, we could do this, and we do it, and then you have these things, and how do you get rid of them? You can't. I mean, you just can't. There's no way. The law would be so hot on your heels that you'd have to lie in wait for 10 years for this to even cool down enough for you to try and even begin to get rid of these and make any money off of it. So it's bizarre to me. What else you got, normie or otherwise, James? Thanks for sitting in. You're the best.
No, glad to be here. Just the idea of some kind of multi-billionaire having this done, whether it's because they just want the jewels for their collection for, again, normal reasons or whatever, or not, you have to consider they'd have to have a place in mind. I mean, they'd have to have some kind of setup already in place for storing objects where they're going to be the only ones that can ever see it. Them and maybe some people that they trust that are close to them. But even that is kind of risky, I would think. If this one person organized all this, a person organized all this, and they have other people they know that somehow find out about it, that could be a plot for a suspense novel almost right there, in and of itself.
Yeah, I was thinking that yesterday too. That's exactly the point. Is this is like a great beginning for the Da Vinci Code Part 7 or something. This kind of ties into a deeper, more esoteric and soul struggle of the spirit of humankind or something. I mean, it certainly lends itself to the imagination and the creative aspect of writing here. What else you got regarding anything else? As you know, I got about 3.5 minutes left. If you go right ahead, sir.
Well, this has me thinking about something that I've noticed over the years, the idea of museums being centers of energy or of paranormal activity, depending on what terms you want to use. And it's not something that is usually advertised. It's something you have to sort of dig into online on your own to find out about this usually. But there are many cases of museums having reports of strange activity, apparitions, sounds, even in some cases objects moving, doors opening, closing, all those things. There's even some, I'm not sure which, I think it might just be the main museum in London, the British Museum, where they have artifacts from Egypt. And there have been reports in and around that museum of people seeing apparitions of people in Egyptian clothing that are just there and then they're gone. So, again, whatever energy that is, if it's conscious or not, there's reports of this. So I'm just curious, again, going back to the possible, ritual or magic of all this, do these people, or does the person that arranged this know something that the rest of us don't?
Yeah, which really becomes a thing that's on my mind that makes my tinfoil tingle, because I do wonder, like I said, just the term is fencing. I see you guys over there chatting about fencing stolen goods over there in Rumble. Gordo says, wait a minute, how do you know so much about fencing? I won't make any accusations, but look, I don't, but we're talking about the chat over there. But this is the thing, and this is why this is weird to me, because like I said, let's say you pull it off. It's the heist of a lifetime, like Ocean's 11 times squared times 11. And then you have this, you get away with it. And without some kind of actual buyer sort of lined up beforehand, which means you hired a crew to do it instead. What are you doing? It just doesn't make any sense to me. But then the ritual aspect, we'll get to it. 12 days to Halloween in broad daylight. Some of this other ritual stuff kind of comes into play. And like you said, like we're describing, took 8 out of 9 of the crown jewels, but left the crown itself. Very symbolic, very interesting, and we'll get to that. It's in the write-up if you guys read it. Like I said, it is one of those things that will go down in history, but how long do we wait? is this going to be something we wait on for years before there's some kind of resolution? They catch these guys. You think they'll catch them in weeks? I don't know. What's your prediction on what happens as part of this too? Ritual, straight theft? Do you think there's a buyer? Do you think they're going to break it down and fence it? What's going on? And that's what's on my mind tonight. Got about a minute left. If you got anything to add, James, and we'll take a break and come back and take some calls.
Yeah, just glad to be here. And yeah, I don't know the amount of money that it would take to arrange that and then to store that. It does seem like it'd be just a lot of it, and maybe even, I mean, possibly some kind of arrangements with like other individuals that would know about how this would be done and who might be interested in it. Again, not talking like I know anything about the actual situation, but I'm just thinking in movie and book terms here. Some kind of bribes, some kind of, keeping this quiet within the government and authorities, making sure the investigation doesn't get too far. I can see that in a story, so who knows?
Yeah, and I did hear today as part of it that that particular window on the balcony had been chirping, so it was kind of doing false alarms for some time now, and it turned out that they shut it down, and they literally turned off the alarm on that window because there was something faulty with it. So, what kind of genius move is that? Reeks of an inside job for that particular thing to know exactly that window and all the rest. But what do you guys think? What is going on? Is it a ritual acquisition, as I'm calling this? The crown jewels and chaos magic. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. We got Mr. Mission Control coming up. More from James and your calls as well. Do not go anywhere.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
In shadows we gather with whispers of fate, a heist in the Louvre, the crown jewels await, 12 days till Halloween. As the clock ticks away, his major power, in darkness they sway, casting old bonds, releasing energy lost, in this ritual dance, we embrace the cost. Steal the crown's aura, let chaos ignite, fingers like lanterns, as we move with the tide, the weight of the past. In our hearts we can fight stolen enchantments, leaving spirits unbound. Emperor's echo, in silence they resound. The crown whispers secrets, buried into gold. This countdown to power, a story to be told. Underneath the moon, we merge with the rhyme, a sacrifice made, transcending through time. As midnight approaches, shadows align. Through ancient sigils we reclaim the divine. Embrace the unrest, let energies flow. A ritual in darkness, in power we grow. The crown's aura, let chaos ignite. Not just a crime, but magic in the night. Underneath the moon, we merge with the rhyme. A sacrifice made, transcending through time.
That was a little creepy. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Matt Sal, we got Joe in Florida. What's up, Jorge? Ray K, Mr. Mission Control, Hirsch, Sweets, Daryl, Nerf Thought. What's up, Dawn, Lily, and James? Thanks for being here. Good evening. Hope everybody's well. Over to YouTube. What's going on? What is up? Poncho says, hey, I'm first. I'm never first. I finally ranked number one in something. What's up? Thanks for being here tonight. We got Mike N is here. Good evening. Let's go. Let's go. Absolutely. We got Richard in Texas. How are you, my friends? Good evening. Hey, you says, an unspoken rule of thievery. Leave one damaged clue, right? Is it, Ro? What's up, everybody? How you doing? Maybe not. I don't know. As usual, I don't make a living stealing things, so I'm not the guy to ask. But it certainly, like I said, makes my tinfoil tingle. What's up? Y gets first over there. Carla and Hanny. Gordo is here. Good evening, guys. We got hello, Raz. I hope you guys are doing well tonight. Sorry about yesterday. Like I said, it broke just before. I had no way of knowing, and so yeah, here we are. Anyway, fixing it. Goy Boy Gang, how you doing? What's happening, folks? If I missed anybody, Puff is here. If I missed anybody, just say hi, and I'll say hi back as we go. Let's do it. Talk about ritual acquisition. What do you think is happening with this? And is it some billionaire buyer that's trying to get ritual artifact for his bunker in the end of times? Ha ha ha. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking about the heist at the Louvre. Can you believe it? Could the theft of ancient crown jewels truly serve as a modern ritual? Unlocking energies centuries old and bridging boundaries that history and myth have kept apart. And I don't, of course, you know me, I don't really know, but it does make my tinfoil tingle when this happens in broad daylight. When you get, just a small crew of 4 escaping on scooters. I mean, that sounds ridiculous. Like if the day before this happened, if somebody had described this happening, everybody else would be like, no, that's nonsense. There's no way that would happen. And then, it happens. Like the Clown World Carnival becomes a thing. And the weirdness, again, of the crown jewels, and they leave the crown behind. Now, I know you got to get out of there in a hurry, but I mean, you don't want to drop your wallet with your ID in it, but certainly you don't want to drop the crown. What the hell's going on? Seems suspicious. How suspicious? Anything to add, James? We'll go to Mr. Mission Control. Welcome back.
Just, the crown, I mean, even if that's a coincidence or whatever, if they did accidentally drop it, it's almost like the universe somehow just stepping in and making a joke of everything. Just like, oh, this is hilarious. Well, let's get some people really freaked out and make them drop the crown and see what kind of ideas come from that. It's really wild that even happened.
Yeah, the cosmic joke, as we like to say. It's a little bit strange. And when you talk about synchronicity, this is the type of stuff that makes you wonder exactly what the hell's going on. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. I'm calling it ritual acquisition, crown jewels, and chaos magic. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Mr. Mission Control, what's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you? Go right ahead.
I'm fine. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. No complaints out of me.
Well, we're all right.
Welcome to the joint.
It's definitely chaos magic.
Okay.
But I want you guys to realize you're not seeing the forest for the trees. Okay, look what's going on. Okay, the 3-eye atlas, the only way to communicate with it is with laser communication. Okay, so now I want you to run what jewels that they stole out of that crown, because the other one they left was not essential for the refracting laser that they're going to use to try and communicate with the seraphim that's flying through the solar system right now. And if you watch my live streams, the past 2, the pilot and the Mr. Mission Control, the 3-eye atlas live stream, you're going to crap your pants, Mike. You guys need to pay attention to what I'm doing right here, because I'm fixing to drop off the map. Okay. And what I've left for y'all is serious. So what happened with the jewels? It was set up for insurance. Okay. They sold them for laser refractors because the European guys have the laser telescopes at the Vatican. Okay, this goes all the way back to the Vatican, and it goes back to the seraphim, the angels, the Ururazu, the pulse that we got from 3i Atlas that I decoded in my live stream, the Fibonacci sequence. Look at my name. Look at my screen name that I got. It's Ururazu in runes, and it's Abba, Abba, Abba is what it comes out to in the gematria. What's Abba? What is Abba, Mike? Okay, that's what this thing is. That's what it's the seraphim. 3i Atlas is a colony of entities that we have not encountered for over 2,000 years, bro. And these comets that have been coming through might be not just comets, but they're panspermic objects. So on the other end of that, I ran, the telemetry on when we were going to pass through its tail. And I mentioned that we go through it, recursively 3 times every year for at least 12 years. And it's going to have heavy metals in it, not iron. It's not producing iron. It's spouting out a bunch of water at an increased rate, and it's a bunch of cyanide, which has to do with formation of life. Okay, it's not just a poison. High amounts of cyanide is, but this thing dropped something off at Mars. When it passed by Mars, our photography equipment there, the satellite and the ground, got a good shot of it. It's 562 kilometers long, Michael. Okay, it's a colonized asteroid. And I don't know if it's been traveling for as long as what they say it has been, but the wow signal coming from it, probably, yeah. Avi Loeb, yes, but it ties right into this story here, and it's blowing your mind, isn't it? They need those jewels for the laser refractor lenses. Okay.
Okay, and so this is to communicate. Okay, so we've been watching this, by the way. I haven't personally been watching super close because the clickbait is crazy heavy when it comes to this comet, 3i Atlas. But I do recognize some of the stuff you're saying. Some of the other stuff, like I said, I cannot corroborate. But again, I'm not the arbiter of truth anyway. But the Avi Loeb stuff, I do wonder, because we were, again, given the date. It was December 5th, I believe, of when this thing would actually kind of swing around Mars and the alien invasion would ensue. And like I said, I don't believe that type of stuff until, like I've said to you, we talked about this, you and I previously.
When
that thing changes directions.
I've had telemetry on it since July.
Okay, hold on.
I had telemetry on it with my.
Hold on. So when that thing changes directions, I will change my mind. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay. Well, the 31st, it goes by Venus. When it goes around Venus, and in the morning sky on the 31st, from the 30th to the 2nd of November, if you go out and look at Venus coming up in the eastern sky, you might be able to see it, because it's going to be down to the left of Venus. Now, if you look at Stellarium and look where it's at, and then in November we pass through some of the Swan's Tail, which is going to be heavy. And then, dude, I've got all of it. I've posted all of it, Michael. I posted all of it, bro. I mean, like, all this stuff. And I don't know why. And dude, I got feds driving. They're driving up and down the road right now, bro. And like they're tying into that's where I found that BLE ghost signal stuff. And I busted that out this morning on a live stream. Y'all need to pay attention. I beg you. And I'm not asking for any, I don't ask for any money, and I don't want to plug my stuff unless I have to. This is important, dude. This is really important, because when this stuff hits public, if it goes around Venus and then starts heading towards us, really heading towards us, we got to know that it's coming after the elites. It's coming after these money-grubbing, warfaring people. It's the seraphim. It is the Elohim, bro, because that's what the pulses come back as.
Okay.
Deciphered. Yes.
Okay.
And it has everything to do with those jewels they stole, because they need those jewels for the laser refractors in the Navy lasers on the ships so they can communicate with it if it does start heading our way.
Okay.
That's what this whole thing is about.
Okay.
It's not about no ritual, magic, fucking. No, dude. No. Because I'm the big shaman here. I'm the big shaman, bro. In the portal. I know that crown jewel thing ain't got nothing to do with nothing else but the 3-eye atlas. Communication.
Okay.
Point blank. I'm telling you right now.
Okay. Time will tell, because I think this type of stuff has a way of shaking out. And
my co-pilot's done all of it, and so has all the other AIs that's tied into it. Grok, all the quantum physics on the ZPE over Unity.
We've talked about this. It's all there, dude. We've talked about this. That stuff is unreliable in many ways, and so I will. Look, I understand. I understand you don't believe that.
Nobody understands it. Okay. I built this shit, dude.
Okay. All right. That's
I got an NDA with Walmart mainframe. I'm the motherfucker.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm the guy that did this.
That's enough of that. Okay. We talked about this ad nauseum. Again, go check out Mr. Mission Control stuff if you want to see what he's working on. He's working on tons of stuff. You can't just come on here and drop bombs and F-bombs and do the rest of that. And then come on. Like it's a conversation. Let me talk about these ideas too. And look, do I believe? No. But am I open to it? Sure. And so the connection between the jewels and the comet, I don't know, maybe. It's an interesting take. Like I said, if you're interested in what Mr. Mission Control is saying, go check out his stream and all the stuff he's putting out. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit and you will find Mr. Mission Control. Simple as that. And please go check it out if you're interested in more of the stuff that he's doing there. I just wish I had time. I just don't have time. I'm working all day and then I come home and I do this, or yesterday I was fixing the stream stuff. I mean, I just wish I had more time to kind of dig into some of these things. So sorry about that. I'm not trying to be rude, but you're getting a little amped up and dropping a little too many expletives for the radio. Okay, so please don't do that. Appreciate the call. You were the best. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James, anything to add to anything there regarding any of that stuff or any other ideas you got? Go ahead.
Well, just the idea of, again, crystals and jewels and all that having power. I mean, there's at least one, I know maybe even more than that, examples of them being supposedly cursed and having, or even healing. It's really weird. These objects that have been important to people throughout time, having these abilities, according to some people, to do either good or bad, depending on the situation. And I'm just curious about, I didn't think to look into any kind of history of anything weird like that attached to the ones that were stolen, but I'm kind of curious. But I mean, again, there's only so much time, as you were just saying. So, but yeah, there's definitely something about crystals and gems and all that is, there's a lot of things, I think, a lot of possibilities as to what they could be for.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, I'm open to that. I just don't know how it fits into the larger context. So I will check out his streams and some of the information. Like I said, I'm doing my best to keep up. There's so much information flowing through that how do you kind of pick up on it and, identify what's the most pertinent in the moment? I don't know. And that's really what we're always talking about, that hyper reality and all that mass media just landing on our head constantly of a lot of nonsense sometimes. So I don't really know. I don't, me, I don't have answers here, but I do think that there's something fishy about this in a lot of different ways, even at the most normie level. And so that becomes the weird part. I mean, broad daylight, 12 days before Samhain, Halloween, as we're saying. And yeah, it seems strange. This seems incredibly strange. I got more from the write-up. I'd love to hear from you guys. Instead, I will go back to that, and I have tons of stuff to get to regarding the ritual aspect of this. Again, conceptually, I don't really know. It's just sort of stuck in my craw a little bit as part of when I read the article, it certainly made me wonder about a great many things, and that's what's on my mind. But I'd love to hear you instead. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Okay, so back to this. Now, in occult traditions, jewelry absorbs the essence of its wearers, as James was describing there, and which we've talked about quite a lot. These pieces touch the skin of rulers during Europe's most transformative era, straight from the write-up. The Napoleonic Wars that redrew borders and collapsed old orders. Napoleon I crowned himself emperor in 1804, physically taking the crown from Pope Pius VII's hands to place it on his own head. Very ritual-esque stuff, right? That act of a supreme authority, rejecting divine appointment in favor of self-coronation, charged every object in that ceremony with radical power, conceptually, of course. Again, this is just kind of looking at it through that esoteric lens. His crown, his consort's jewels, the regalia of an empire built on revolutionary principles, masquerading as imperial restoration. And that's really where I start to wonder about this being maybe less about the priceless aspect of it and maybe a different level of the priceless aspect of it. You know what I mean? That charged energy. And as James was saying earlier too, there's a lot of that stuff happening with museums. Museums tend to be, quote, haunted for a lot of these reasons because these charged items or objects are in them. I mean, it's very much like a haunted house or things we've talked about in the past, or as we've talked about recently, even the Vatican Library, this type of stuff, like what's actually down there, what kind of actual ritual artifacts do they have? How wild and weird does that get? A conversation for another time, because we're looking at these actual objects and wondering what the hell it means. Anything on the charged energy of the Napoleonic period into these actual items there, James?
Not so much on that. I'm not as familiar with that, but even for people that are going there to learn about it, again, people are, and we talked about this before too, there's all that focus from all the people that go there to look at all these things. And that could be possibly energy that is going into them long after they're not being used by anyone in power anymore in the way that they had been possibly. There's still a lot of attention. And again, it goes back to what I talked about before with paranormal activity. In some places where there's legends or lore about this apparition or that figure being seen, but then there's no history of that figure, that person existing before that. And yet there's still the apparitions that are seen there of that figure. So even if there's not much, let's say, connected to that and from old energy, there could still be new energy that is being attached to it now.
Yeah. All that certainly plays here. And I mean, look, the most basic version of this is people trying to get rich, right? But again, in this particular sense, what about the relic energy? Not just the priceless artifact itself, but the pricelessness of where it came from, the pricelessness of who actually owned these relics, and that historical resonance. That becomes the weird part, and how this really kind of made my tinfoil tingle as I'm describing. And again, no, is it a ritual? Maybe not. Like me, when it comes to this type of stuff, maybe certainly plays, but definitely maybe not as a massive shadow as well, because the most obvious answer, Occam's razor, is typically the best answer, unless and until it's not, right? That becomes the thing. So anyway, so museum relics and these containers of this collective belief, as we're talking about right now with James, and the idea of like these haunted relic repositories. In this case, I say that in a weird way, but it is a museum. And we did talk about this recently too. Shout out Matt Sal about the Zach Baggins Museum as well, because he's got a bunch of supercharged, quote, haunted items, whether you believe that stuff or not. It's a very similar space, but in this particular aspect, we're talking about actual relics, priceless relics from big time historical events and people. And I mean, tons of people saw these coronations and all the rest of it. That's in the write-up I'll get to in a second here, but it's an interesting thing. So here's another layer to this question, right? Do you believe objects can hold consciousness or intent? Have you ever visited a place that felt charged with history or energy? And that comes to, what's that thing called? Psychometry and that type of stuff. Can you sense these things? Is this something people can do? I don't know. No answers, just more questions as part of it. But it does make my tinfoil tingle when you consider what's actually happening with this, and that nobody noticed. I mean, they were gone, and they were like, "What the hell happened?" And the alarm didn't go off. And then, I mean, what? Like it just seems like more every time something ridiculous happens, the cameras are turned off, right? Let's go to Epstein and that whole bit, right? Oh, it just happened that the cameras were shut off that night, and the employees were asleep. Remember that story? And now the story's changed like 30 times, and it's like, well, that's strange. How come the cameras were off? And then how come we have this phantom footage that, I mean, you can find an unbelievable amount of contradictory information just about that one thing. And it turns out that maybe the cameras weren't, or were they? Or is that fabricated stuff? I don't know. But in this particular case, like I said, it seems like it's an inside job, because this particular window, they had shut off the alarm because it was chirping, false alarm style. And then now they have, crown jewels on the loose, which is an incredible thing to consider. Okay, so let's see. What do we got? So on that. We're good. Okay, so we'll get to the numerology, the ritual timing, the chaos magic, and the rest of that when we come back. And look, shout out Mr. Mission Control. You're probably right. There's no ritual aspect to it, but it is the write-up that I prepared, and so I'm going to go through with this and ask the questions. So that's that. I hope you guys are doing well tonight. Anything else, James, here? I can get right back to the write-up because there's a ton of really good stuff here, but all of this really, like I said, is not something that happens every day. Incredibly notable, very conspiratorial, and not just the way it happens in terms of the theft, but then in terms of the larger context of these items historically. If you got anything else, go ahead. If not, I'll get right back to the write-up here.
Well, really, the idea of there being different types of locations that have different items, like you mentioned there, the Baggins Museum, the Warrens is another example of their collection of items. There's one or two others I've heard of. Versus a museum, there's really only one. Though there's only one big difference, besides let's say the historical relevance of the items, and that is that in these other places, the paranormal aspects are focus. That's the focus. Or that's a big part of the focus. And again, whether or not some places fake things or not, the focus is still on having a weird experience. And but then you have museums where, they're not about that. It's all very much supposed to be just normal things and the history of items, which is fine. And yet there's still reports of weird things happening. Also with items and all that, whether or not, it doesn't matter if I believe in any of that or not, but I will tell you, there are plenty of reports of people getting antiques, getting items either from stores or family members, or even just on the side of the road, and then having paranormal activity start as soon as they get that item near them or in their home. And then it'll stop once they get rid of it. So again, I don't know anything, but there's these reports of all these things as well.
Yeah, again, this goes back a long way in different parts of the world, as we're always describing. And these things would be very charged. If you believe in human resonant energy and the power of intention and focus and all the rest of that into an inanimate object, these things are as charged as anything, quote, charged, if you believe in it. If not, then surely it's priceless, greater than the sum of its parts, just for its historical value. So there's a few things in play here that's kind of tickling my mind. But anyway, so back to this. So the items absorbed decades of imperial ambition. Straight from the write-up, Empress Josephine's jewels carried her rise from Caribbean plantation owner's daughter to Empress of France, her strategic marriage to Napoleon, her inability to produce an heir, her eventual divorce when political necessity demanded a different womb. Sadly, of course, history is riddled with tales like this. Empress Marie-Louise Habsburg's pieces brought Austrian royal bloodlines into contact with revolutionary French power, dynastic warfare, condensed into metal and stone. And that was a very chaotic time, too, all the rest of that. As many know, the French Revolution, Napoleon, and all the things. And some still, again, he was a brutal dude, but some people even suggest that he was the one to bring France back together again, even after the revolution and the guillotines and off with their heads and all the rest of it. Does it take, a more brutal dude to kind of put down the old, less brutal people? I mean, it's a wild time, not just then, but now, wild time to be alive. But anyway, so these items in particular weren't decorative accessories. Obviously, they were power symbols. They were, again, charged with resonance of revolution, ambition, all the rest of that stuff that we said. But they were also, again, conceptually, consciousness containers, repositories for the emotional and political intensity of figures who altered European history. And that's the part that kind of gets me like, all right, think about it like John Dee or something like this. Like one of these guys, they say he conjured in the British Empire, right? Remember that whole story we did, which was an incredible thing there, folklore-wise. But imagine if you had like John Dee's phylactery or his crystal ball or something to that degree, right? And not just because of, if you believe in wizards or shaman or whatever, that's fine. Or not, that's fine too. But Imagine having sort of the main wizard of the last 500 years, his stuff. Like, it'd be like having Gandalf's staff or something. And so this is the type of, I think, resonant energy that fits into this space, into this larger conversation of these items, and which makes me wonder about not just the timing, 12 days to Halloween, the ritual completion aspect of the crown jewels, but they left the crown, or incompletion ritual aspect, which we'll get to that when we get back, and the idea of this chaos magic. I don't know. And like I said, does it fit with the comment? I didn't chase that down. Shout out Mr. Mission Control. I'll do a dig on that and see what I can come up with too, to kind of help with some of that. But I don't know. Again, possibilities, no truth to be found here. Entertainment only. Minute left. Anything to add, James? And then we'll talk about chaos magic when we get back.
Well, just think about if these people that had power that got these items never had them. If you were to see them out in public without any of these items, you may not have any idea who they are. So they make these people recognizable in a way. And again, that can be good for them. For some people, that can be basically either make them appear as someone that is good or bad, depending on the situation. So that's a lot of focus from a lot of people on the items and the person wearing them, on any side of any given situation.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, I don't know, but it does seem suspicious. Like I said, think about just how difficult it is to get rid of these things. You're not going to be able to get rid of these things on the, fencing them in traditional ways. So to me, it reeks of a super rich buyer, like a Dr. Evil or some Bond villain with tons of money that wants these things for their private collection, which there's a lot of those guys. Again, think about Hobby Lobby and buying stolen things from the Levant that ISIS looted and plundered as they butchered their way across different countries. I mean, like, this type of stuff is wild, but it happens. And so what does it mean? How weird does it get? And again, do you believe in rituals? And is this any sort of ritual whatsoever? Maybe, maybe not. No definitives here. That's exactly the point of doing this, talking to each other as possibilities. Love to hear your thoughts on this. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Be right back. We got Matt Sal coming up. More from James and your calls as well. I'm calling it ritual acquisition. Crown jewels and chaos magic. Or nah. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. Do not go anywhere.
This is Troubled Minds. Your host, Michael Strange, the master of the mysterious, is here to guide you through the shadows of the unexplained.
Let's check the news. A new method using the B-value, ratio of low to high magnitude earthquakes, to track magma movement beneath Mount Etna shows promise in forecasting eruptions. Researchers analyzed 20 years of earthquake data and found a strong correlation between the B-value and volcanic activity. Tracking changes in the B-value can reveal different stages of magma transfer, potentially improving eruption predictions. While tested on Mount Etna, the method may be applicable to other volcanoes with sufficient earthquake data. China has accused the U.S. National Security Agency of cyber-attacking its National Time Service Center, alleging the NSA exploited vulnerabilities in a foreign mobile phone brand to steal data and used cyber weapons to target the center's networks. China claims the attacks, occurring between 2022 and 2024, could disrupt critical infrastructure and accuses the U.S. of hypocrisy regarding cyber threats. The U.S. Embassy has not commented, and the accusation risks escalating tensions between the two countries. Northwestern Medicine's 25-year superager study examines individuals over 80 with memory function comparable to those decades younger. Research reveals superagers often exhibit strong social connections, active lifestyles, and brains that resist or are resilient to Alzheimer's-related plaques and tangles. These findings suggest exceptional cognitive health in old age is possible and linked to specific specific neurobiological and behavioral traits. Studies of donated superager brains show resistance to or resilience against plaque buildup and unique cellular traits like more von Economo neurons. Researchers aim to use these insights to develop interventions to delay or prevent dementia. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. Thanks for staying to play with us, and thanks for, again, being flexible with the days and whatnot. It's, like I said, it's a weird night tonight because I screwed up yesterday. Never update right before a show. What's up? I hope you guys are well tonight. What's going on? Got to go. Big party for my birthday and karaoke. Happy birthday to Daryl. Sorry about that. It is tonight, right? See, we bumped the show. That sucks. Happy birthday, Daryl. Have fun indeed. What's up? Richard in Texas. I see there. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Joe in Florida. What's going on? Kelly says relax mission. Yeah. I mean, yeah, look, we're talking possibilities here. It's like I said, I get the frustration sometimes, but it's that's what this is about. This is about sharing ideas, and simple as that. Who did I miss? My mom. We got Carla and Hanny. How you doing? Gordo, YY. What's happening? Hiker is here. Hope you guys are well tonight. Let's doing Troubled Mind stuff. Well, again, so like I said, we don't have to go super weird on this. We don't have to go to the depths of the bottom of the sea. We can just look at this in normie terms and where are they going to offload this stuff? I mean, my main theory is that they're selling it to some Bond villain, some mega rich Bond villain. I think that's the way. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, anything else. But then that really kind of brings to question, well, why? I mean, other than, they have money so they can do it, but then also the tinfoil tingles as part of that ritual aspect. So I don't know, and chaos magic. I'll talk about it when we get back, like exactly what that means. It's in the write-up. It's pretty good. I mean, it's a weird theory, but it's welcome to Troubled Minds. We got some calls coming in. I appreciate that. We got Matt Sal coming up, Herschel and Kelly. So thank you for sharing the airwaves and being patient. We'll get to you guys. And yeah, that's what's on my mind tonight. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody, just say hi, and I will say hi back, and doing my best to keep up. And yeah, like I said, on an off night, it's unfortunate that we are Daryl's birthday. She's doing a karaoke shindig birthday bash over there, and here we are doing Troubled Minds. I feel bad about that. My bad. You can't win them all. Okay. Anyway, happy birthday to our friend Daryl. Rituals or nah? That really becomes the thing on my mind tonight. You tell me. As you know, Troubled Minds coming up in just a second here. Staying on the radio break, and then we'll get back in 15 seconds. More from James. We got Matt Sal first. Herschel and Kelly were about the same time. You guys coin flip and let me know in the chat who wants to go or who wants to defer, who's more or less patient or whatever. Anyway, you guys work it out, and we'll get to you after Matt Sal. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right now. Oops, if I find the button. Oh yeah, I got him over here. One moment, please. There we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the places, all the things. Sorry about that. My buttons didn't work as I programmed it to work. My goodness, technology. It's great when it works. When it's not, it doesn't. So now we're talking ritual acquisition, crown jewels and chaos magic, I'm calling this. But, more importantly, what is happening with these jewels? I mean, obviously, people can get rich off of this, but in this particular sense, when you steal something that is so notable and so obviously identifiable, you can't just go sell it to a pawn shop. I mean, so that's the thing that kind of made my tinfoil tingle. I mean, you got to crack it down into little pieces and, do all the rest of that, which it just seems ridiculous. It seems not only that full on blasphemous, right? I mean, you're taking ancient history, like literal history, and then you're destroying it for what? For some loot, right? For a bag of loot. I mean, get the bag, as they say. I mean, don't you think there's some less notable things you could probably burgle? I don't know. It just seems blasphemous to me. And there's a lot of that. Like I said, I mentioned ISIS before we took off on the break there regarding, just barnstorming across the Levant, butchering people and taking down ridiculous relics and things and destroying them, full on destroying them. And even selling these items to And this has been well documented to the owners of Hobby Lobby who are super into biblical artifacts. So I don't know. It's a weird time to be alive per usual, but also what is happening with these artifacts and who do you think is the benefactor? Welcome back, James. Anything on that? And we'll go to Matt Sal and Hirsch and Kelly.
Yeah, it is, even just in the normal sense of everything, it is odd. It's, I don't know. I mean, unless there's some massive system of people that are into these objects and like some kind of ultra secret black market, hidden market, then I don't know what else to think about this, because again, it's just so, it's not like going to a regular jewelry store and breaking in there and grabbing whatever you can get to and then leaving. It's very specific to the situation. And I mean, even just the symbolism, not even necessarily magic, but just symbolism, I wonder if that's part of this as well.
Yeah, well said. Well said. And we'll get to that. The chaos magic part of it, it is in the write-up, but I will talk about it tonight as well. Let's go to 702-957-1037. Thanks for being patient, my man. Matt's out. Matthew in California. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you, sir? Go right ahead.
Hi, Mike. Good show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Go ahead.
I called to talk about ritual garments, like sacred garments. But I did have a hot take real quick about an article I saw a few weeks back about someone stole a Picasso painting. Have you seen that one?
I did. What were the deets?
I just feel I read the article and I felt like the same kind of thing when I read this article about the topic tonight about the museum robbery. I felt the same feeling of like, what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, exactly. like you can't walk into a pawn shop and be like, yo, check out this cool painting. You think it's real? Bro, the police would be there so fast you wouldn't even be able to get back to your car.
Yeah. I just had that take. But I wanted to call and talk about the sacred garments and how I feel these maybe it's something more than just money. This goes way back, and in these places, we have these tools. We have the tools, right? The athame, the wand, the chalice, and like earth, salt or rocks for earth. But we also have a thing where I talk about the sacred garments, and the reason why I feel is that when you're doing like any kind of ritual magic, you want to try to have like a magical persona or like a magical self. And what it does is separates your mundane self from your magical self. So when you're you're you. And then when you go into ritual, you put on these sacred garments, these robes, these jewelries, these crowns to perform the ritual. And you're a different person, a magical persona. And so then when you take these ritual garments off, the rings and the jewels, when you take them off, you go back into the mundane. And the reason why is because you kind of want to separate the spiritual from the physical, because people can get sick, or like people have had like negative effects of just wearing their regular clothes into the ritual. And so we kind of do that. We separate our normal selves from our magical selves on purpose. And it's like to create a sense of magical self. We use like different techniques, and we talked about before about our name, about how your name invokes power and personality, and these kind of things. But it's the same kind of thing, but it's more like robes and cloaks and different kinds of magical artifacts that we wear. Now, there's ones that I wear all the time, but then there's ones that I will don specifically for the ritual. So like robes. But then let's talk about jewelry, because I feel like this is more the topic, talking about jewelry. Like the robe, or not that, but rings, necklaces, bracelets. They're a common type of the magical persona, and wearing them signifies the time for magic. Many of the tools and symbols, like they might rank you in a coven, like a pentacle is a part of the first degree, a ring for the second degree, a bracelet or another necklace for the third degree. So, some people wear them all the time, but some people only wear them in ritual. And I would like to talk about rings and stuff like that, but let's just a couple honorable mentions of other garments that we could have. Head coverings. Like you'll see a lot of pagans wearing like crowns or like flower leaves in their hair. You have like the Jewish yarmulke. Native American traditions have their regalia, and the witches, of course, have the witch hat, the pointy hat. You have footwear and like toe rings, things like that, and masks. Masks are important in a ritual. And so I just kind of thinking about those things. Am I on point for you here? Am I on topic for you?
No, you're good. Yeah, that's exactly the point as part of this, because there's a situation of these are all things that are worn. So you were right on point and kind of broadening that out and looking at it in different ways. It is regalia. These are things that are worn as part of that ritual self. And you were spot on 100%, because that's what all this stuff is. They were, their earrings and necklaces and crowns and all the rest, that ritual aspect of self. So yeah, you're spot on, bro.
Yeah, like I was saying, more than just money. I feel, and this stuff is, going back. But let's go back to rings. I'm trying to find the page in here about rings. But for me, I have a story about. Okay, let's tell a personal story about. I've been wearing the same rings and the same necklaces for long times, and I wear them all the time. I don't take them off to take a shower, to sleep, anything. I always wear them. And then, but it's like, if I lose these things, then I have a story about a necklace. I wore this necklace that Lacey's mom gave me like 15, 17 years ago. And it's weird. I'll lose it sometimes. Like I'll accidentally misplace it, or it'll come off somehow. And whenever it comes off, I'll start having, I'll have a bad day. I'll have, stub my toe, spill my coffee, get stuck in traffic. And then oh, my necklace is gone. And then I'll always find it again in like random weird places. And when I find it and put it back on, like mysterious things that happen to it, and when I find it and put it back on, those negative things stop happening to me again. And so I guess the question becomes, is it the power of the necklace, or is it my belief in the power of the necklace to protect me?
Yeah, that's right down my alley. That's exactly what I'm always thinking about and talking about, because is it irrelevant? I mean, maybe not to the larger, let's say, metaphysical context, but if it's the same result, whether it's this or it's that, it certainly is the belief in the object. And again, when you're talking about power and millions of people who are literally their lives are riding on who's in charge, and it goes back to politics today too. Like this is very similar, except there's no scepter, there's no crown, there's no that regalia. But in that context, like those items got to be charged with, hopes and dreams and desires and all the things that we've talked about, but also, fears of what might come next with whoever takes the crown.
Yeah, it always trips me out, like seeing like jewelry at like a pawn shop or like where you turn in stuff in. What happened? Who is wearing that ring? What kind of energy does it have? What kind of energy does it hold? I believe in that kind of stuff, the psychometry stuff. I know there's people behind me, so I'll finish up here. I have one more take, and it's about rings. And just quick talking about the rings and palmistry and why we wear certain rings on certain fingers and what they mean. And of course, all the crystals are involved and all that. But did you know also it's not necessarily the crystals that you want to project or to receive the energy. It's also what hand you wear them on. So, and this is out of palmistry. So your thumb is Venus. Your index finger is Jupiter. Your middle finger is Saturn. Your ring finger is Apollo. And your pinky finger is Mercury. And so if you need help looking that stuff up, I can help you guys. But basically what I'm trying to say is that whatever finger you wear your ring on, that's the power that you're either projecting or receiving from that kind of energy. And that's kind of how I see it, how I wear my rings. That's a deep topic.
Yeah, I love that. I've never heard that. Never heard that.
I wanted to put that out there just as ideas to maybe think about, what do these rings do, and just talking about the regalia, the magical jewelry and stuff like that.
I dig it. That's a deep dive. We'll get back to that at some point because as you said, there's a lot there. Fire stuff. Appreciate you, brother. Thanks for staying up late with us. Anything else? If you got to go ahead.
No, I'm gonna go. I feel this is a good show, a great topic. What's the saying? May you live in interesting times.
Indeed, and we certainly do. Glad to share them with you. Appreciate you very much. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
All right, bye.
Thanks a lot. That's Matthew in California. You know him, you love him, good friend for a long time. Temple of the Owl is the name of his podcast, templeoftheowl.com. You can find exactly what he's doing over there. And again, he's got a massive book collection, esoteric books that he's reading and synthesizing through his podcast and the work he's doing for modern times. So please go check it out. Again, every time I listen to Matt Sal over there, I'm delighted with what he's doing. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It says follow Matt Sal. Please do that. Or of course, templeoftheowl.com. Anything on that, James? We'll go to, I think it was Herschel first and then Kelly and then so hang tight, Kelly. Bottom of the hour, you get as long as you need. Appreciate you guys being patient. James, anything else? And we'll go to our other friends here.
Yeah, that's amazing. Great call so far. That's amazing that there are meanings to, or different energies associated with each finger that you wear a ring on. That's very, I mean this in a good way. That's very cosmic. That's very, that's fascinating. I have heard of, again, going back to that, pawn shops and antique stores, objects, even clothes, having energy attached to them. And cases of people getting clothes and either getting a good feeling or not so great feeling from the clothes they pick up at some of these places. So it really can go, the connection can be to all kinds of objects depending on how much importance there is placed on it by people, I think, as well.
Exactly. Well said. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Herschel in Arizona. What's your brother? Commercial Herschel. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
I do kind of have a take that's probably different, but I'll tell you what I think first is I agree with you that it was set up. Like, there's no way that they're just going to go pawn that unless they're going to try to take the jewels off and recut them and then melt down all the metal or something like that. It's like there's no way that's not a setup. And the fact that the alarms didn't work, I mean, come on. What
exactly.
are we talking about?
Like I said, very Jeffrey Epstein-esque, right? It's like, come on, stop this. This is
very
ridiculous.
Typical, connected people doing crimes. All types that they do because they're dirtbags. But here's an idea that I like. I don't know, it could be what happened, but the fact of it being chaos magic and ritual and all of that, like the broken crown, that's like a diss on the whole concept of royal hierarchy in society. And then liberating these jewels and metals that have been pilfered from oppressed societies. Like that concept of it being like a revolutionary act in a way. And in these times that we're in, when all of these things are being confronted, and when the people who have the very extreme violent power are doubling down on their authoritarianism on the general public, especially in Europe right now. I mean, it's just ridiculous what's happening there. So, it seemed like that's the kind of energy I got from it. Like they break the crown, they're dissing the royal hierarchy and liberating these jewels and metals that have been exploited from colonized peoples and their lands.
Yeah, that makes sense.
An idea. A concept.
Yeah, I dig it. And again, the French Revolution. I mean, Napoleon, and we're talking like one of the most famous times ever of ridiculousness. And so that makes a ton of sense.
Where it happened and like what the era of all of that was from in France. I mean, there's been so many upheavals there. So it's an interesting thing. Like it's just something interesting I like this. I like the symbolism of that. And if we understood the symbology of the specific items more, that could be broken down even further. Like you could take that concept and just go deeper with it with each item. That might be worth doing, like just for fun, just as a mental exercise and a meme to send out into society. That could just be a really interesting thing to do for somebody who has that kind of time on their hands.
Yeah, or that kind of technology. Hold my beer. I may actually do that. Okay, so and you're totally right on that too. So think of it, like I said, the crown jewels were stolen in broad daylight, 12 days from All Hallows Eve, Halloween, Samhain, and not only that, they left the crown. 9 items. Again, we've talked about the number, the magic number of 9, Nikola Tesla, all that stuff. The baseball with the show we did, and they left the crown. Out of the crown jewels.
Well, not only did they leave the crown, they broke it.
Yeah, damaged. Exactly. And that seems like maybe, let's call it a mini ritual as a,
right.
Yeah, like not necessarily the large scope I'm talking here where there's some, going to be some Bond villain billionaire in some basement doing some kind of working for the next 10 days. Nothing like that, but very symbolically like, hey, we're taking this back to the people. And in this capacity, you can keep the crown, but it's damaged and the wheel is broken at this point, right?
And that, yeah, even if they didn't break it on purpose, it's like there's another energy that took over the moment.
Yeah. I follow you. Where are they going to?
It's a fun thing to think about.
Agreed. Where are they going to off this stuff? It's a billionaire, right? I mean, it's not to label the Hobby Lobby guys and say it was them, but they've been found guilty of doing similar stuff. So certainly there's some shady billionaire out there that's got these in their basement right now, right?
In their bunker,
the dungeon bunker. Right. Yeah, that's what it feels like. Yeah, the fire stuff. I mean, I don't know. It seems if I'm a betting man, that's what I'm betting. They're in some private collection. They paid them, not just tipped off from the inside on the alarm in the window. They paid a heist crew via kind of Ocean's 11 style to rip them off and bring them back to them. I think that's what's going to happen. We'll probably never see these things again.
Probably not.
Fire stuff.
But I'll stick around until the bottom and just listen to what James has to say about all this.
Okay, hang tight. Kelly, like I said, thanks for being patient. You get as much time as you need when we get back. James, anything on that? I think there's a lot here in terms of not just, let's say, ritual itself, but symbolically, this is massive. There's so many ways you could kind of rabbit hole this and take it all the way down. Anything on any of that, James? Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. The crown being broken. And again, Herschel, you kind of said what I said earlier, where even if they didn't drop it on purpose or break it on purpose, the fact that happened is, it'd be more fascinating to me if it was an accident, because it just makes me wonder about, does the universe have a consciousness and all that, and is there someone that does things like that here and there just to get people's attention, and whether it's to be a trickster or not, just to make points about things. And I think that is fascinating. I've been thinking about this whole thing, and I feel bad for the people that maybe were there trying, like the security people that were there that maybe had no idea about all this. But also I'm not really, I don't like feel a connection to any of these jewels, so it's not affecting me. But I mean, that's also just me. I'm just curious if there's anyone else out there that maybe it does affect, and I'm wondering if that could be a part of the reason why it was done as well, for some kind of a effect on certain groups of people if they're, I don't know, really devoted to history or whatever it may be. But I'm curious about that as well.
Yeah, real quick, Puff over on Rumble says this: how come no one ever steals any ancient gems, relics, or high-priced items in the non-European countries? That's actually a good point. Herschel, what you got? Go ahead.
Well, because they've already been stolen by the people in the European countries.
There it is.
Oh, man.
The jokes make themselves.
You guys, Thanks a lot. Yeah, thanks. I'm going to go ahead and go, and thanks, everybody.
You're the best. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for staying up late with us. Go Blue Jays. Did you catch that Springer homer? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
What a big swing.
I was bummed out by that. I was bummed out. I really think Seattle has a better chance of beating LA than Toronto. That was just too bad. But Springer's just on fire.
Absolute beast. Right on.
Can't stop that kind of fire. And that gig Clement.
Yeah.
All of a sudden shows up and goes like 8 for 15 in the playoffs. Like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. A little sports ball talk. You're the best, brother. Have a great night. Appreciate the call.
Sorry, everybody.
You're good.
I apologize.
All good. I asked. Have a great night. You know me, love him. Commercial Herschel is the name of the Substack. Easytopian is the name of the podcast. You know where to find it. Search Commercial Herschel or just go to troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit. It's alphabetical and click on Herschel there. And go check out the projects he's working on. Again, the sexiest link tree in the game, as I always like to say, because it is true. Check that out. You can do all manner of amazing things with your link tree. Go follow all the projects. Again, he's got books, a new book coming out very soon. He's going to release the details of that. If you haven't joined the Discord, please do, or joined his Discord, please do. All the links are there. And yeah, a lot of wild things in play here. And look, I don't know. It's freeing to say I don't know and think in terms of possibilities, but I think the possibilities of what this is normie style are probably pretty obvious. I mean, this reeks of an inside job. The alarm turned off on the window, the thieves knowing exactly which window to hit, out of there in 7 minutes or less. I mean, like what's that? Gone in 60 Seconds, right? With the car heist movie, Ocean's 11, robbing Vegas casinos, this type of thing. I mean, it seems very kind of like that, and you can't pull that stuff off unless you've got inside information. And so that becomes the weird part of this, because that level of inside information might even reek of like a foreign state actors, so who knows how deep and weird this goes, but it is a wild thing to consider as part of it. Not just the ritual chaos magic we're talking, but again, leaving the crown behind of the crown jewels. Of all damn things you don't drop, right? You don't if you're going to do a heist like this, you don't drop your wallet. Obviously, you shouldn't bring it, actually. I mean, not that I'm a criminal mastermind or anything, but you shouldn't drop the crown, right? I mean, anyway, I recognize you're in a big hurry, but anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. We got Kelly coming up. Thanks for being patient, my man. He's got as much time as he needs, and taking your calls as well. We're talking this heist, this Louvre heist of the French crown jewels, and politically, I was seeing some articles today. They were talking about actually, blaming these people and blaming those people and all the rest of this stuff, because that's the way the world works, right? You're like, oh, blame this political party, blame that political party for every damn thing that happens, because a case can be made. Narrative building, which is what we're doing tonight. Narrative building. Love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you know? Is it possible this ritual acquisition had something to do with something we can't see? 702-957-1037. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. We got Kelly coming up and your calls as well. Do not go anywhere.
You're tuning into Troubled Minds, the show where mystery knows no bounds. Stay tuned for revelations that'll keep you questioning the fabric of reality.
Let's check the news. A partial skeleton of Paranthropus boise, including hands, skull, and feet, discovered near Lake Turkana, Kenya, reveals a combination of human-like dexterity and gorilla-like strength. The hand structure suggests P. boise could form precision grips for tool use, although it was initially believed to be the earliest tool maker. The discovery, while not definitively proving P. boise made tools, indicates they had the physical capability. The gorilla-like aspects of the hand were particularly surprising. Whether stone tool making was a key part of their behavior remains an open question. Starship version 2 concluded its suborbital test flights with a successful 11th launch, paving the way for the upgraded Starship version 3, slated for debut in 2026. Version 3 will be taller, carry more propellant, feature upgraded Raptor engines, and include docking adapters for in-orbit fuel transfer. This next iteration will be used for orbital flights, payload missions, and propellant transfer. While version 2 had a turbulent run, SpaceX is now focused on the next generation Starship, which involves significant redesigns and potential initial challenges as the company aims for missions to Earth orbit, the Moon, and Mars. Kohler has announced the Dakota, a $599 toilet-mounted camera that analyzes stool images to provide insights into gut health, hydration, and potential blood detection. It features a fingerprint sensor and end-to-end encryption for data security. A subscription fee between $70 and $156 is required on top of the hardware cost. Shipments are scheduled to begin October 21. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Or something, right? Thanks to my lovely AI assistants. What's up? If I missed anybody, say hi. What's up? Backass Words, Weird World, DTM. I see you guys. Yeah, DTM adds the Mona Lisa was on the floor below. Yeah, 300 yards away or something. It was very close. So, I mean, yeah, what are you going to do? Maybe that's next time. And the Mona Lisa was stolen in 1911, as stated by Raz earlier, too. I was kind of digging through the history of the Louvre heists. There have been more than one in broad daylight, which is crazy. What's up, Fox River Taxi? I see you there. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back. Copy that, Mr. Mission Control. It's cool. We all lose our cool at some point here or there. It's all fine. What's up? What's up? Hello, good evening. Thanks for staying up late with us. What's up, Cubs Futures here. Puff, how you doing? So yeah, those are just Napoleon crowns, not the royals. Yeah. They're not. Yeah, not like the British royals. It's a little different, but yeah. Anyway, there's a ton of stuff here, and that's a fantastic question by Puff too. How come no one ever steals any ancient gems, relics, or high-priced items in the non-European countries? And the joke there with Herschel, and hilariously, is well, because they've already been stolen, and they're in the museums in Europe. I mean, kind of true. It's one of those weird ones. Who'd I miss? What's up? Sweets, APOC, Dawn, Gaston, Matzel, Hirsch, and Roving Fungus. Thanks for the calls, Matzel and Herschel. You guys are the best, as you know. I don't know. Rituals, this reeks of a ritual to me for a lot of different reasons. I'll get to the chaos magic in a moment, but rather talk to you guys. Here we go. Troubled Minds coming up right now. We got Kelly on the way and your calls as well. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds, yada yada, all the places, all the things, troubledminds.org. You can find it there. Tonight we're talking the heist of the Louvre. The Louvre. Yes, pardon my French. Thieves steal the crown jewels of France. Yeah, except they leave the crown damaged and on the ground, which is strange. Like I said, there's a lot of things that are really, really off the wall about this, and it got my tinfoil tingling the second I saw it. Shout out Ricky too. He's the one who posted this in the Discord right after it happened. I saw it in there. I was like, let's check the article, and then it turned into this wild stuff. Again, links are in the description if you want to follow up on it. Do read the write-up in full. There's some pretty wild ideas in there, including, of course, this is a Samhain ritual of some kind 12 days before Halloween, because that's what happened. That's when they stole it, 9:30 in the morning, 7 minutes or less in and out. Pretty crazy stuff. I don't know. You tell me, is it ritual or is it not? Is this some other thing? And what are they going to do with it? Cut it into tiny pieces and melt it down? That sounds like sacrilege to me. I'm guessing it's in some Bond villain's basement. James, quick take on that. We'll go to Kelly.
Well, if all this is symbolic, I do like Herschel's idea about looking into what each of the pieces may mean. But even if it's all symbolic, it could have still been organized by some billionaire, not to have it in their collection, but to have it destroyed. I'm really curious about that as well. If that ends up happening, that'd be fascinating to find out why and how.
Yeah, it seems like such a waste. I mean, if you can't keep these things intact, like, what are you doing? I mean, there's so many other things you can burgle and melt down. And this is priceless artifacts. It's absolutely crazy that people think this way. Anyway, love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Kelly in Colorado, thanks for being patient, my man. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How are you? Go right ahead.
Doing all right, man. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. Thanks for bringing my energy back to where it should be. Appreciate you very much. This is a new phone get up. Everything worked on the phone line. You could hear everybody and everything's good.
Yeah, sound good. Everybody, I could hear everybody.
Okay, sweet. And you were coming through. You hear him loud and clear, James?
Yes, all set.
Perfect. Okay, all good. Thanks for being patient, Kelly. All yours. Go right ahead. What's your take on this, and how weird do we get?
Okay, so for me, first off, everybody's talking about symbolism. For me, I mean, just the making of the crown was symbolism. For them, when they were making it, was obviously that they were ruling. That they're the ruling class back then, I guess, what you would just call, or somebody killed somebody to get that position, something to that effect. But all these jewels from all these crowns, and even in London, right, the Queen's crown jewels, all these crown jewels belong to somebody else anyway, right? These things are actually, when the Queen died, all the countries that had crowns from her, jewels from her crown, they want them back, because they were actually stolen, just like everybody is kind of mentioned in Discord before I jumped on. And to them, it was saying that they were the ruling class, where it didn't matter where they got them, or I guess where they conquered supposedly, or didn't want them people in them by killing people that didn't want to play their game. But those jewels were stolen and then placed in these crowns. For the instance, the French crown, like all those crowns, all those jewels in there, a lot of them were given, they were added throughout different kings and queens, or different people wanted to add, stuff to that crown. That's why it's got all the different type jewels in it. But a lot of the, some of the necklaces and all the other stuff, a lot of those diamonds that those big giant diamonds, they come from India. And I heard India wanted those. They've been asking about a lot of those jewels back as well. But it's just like, when if we go down, this rabbit hole too about like objects, right? The whole synchronicity with that, that's like, like when all these countries too, just like all these artifacts that they have, that they keep, and then they say they're in a museum, that people can go see them, right? That's their excuse. But again, all those artifacts are stolen too. And I think maybe sometimes these people that do that, they know that some of these artifacts, if they're being locked in place, if they're left in those areas, they're the keys to like turning the pyramids on. Some of the stuff that they, taken out of Egypt, and now they place them in these museums and, thousands of miles away in these other countries. Maybe they know that's part of what, some people would call magic back then, but it was probably technology. It might look like stone, but these things are, embedded with crystals and, or different types of materials where, they're used for, electrical components, you know what I mean? So if you take the key, just like they're taking the key of a car, I was explaining to Michelle, just like keys of a car, you have this nice automobile, but it doesn't work without the keys, because now I take your keys and I move them thousands of miles into this museum and I place them in there that everybody can see it. Right? Maybe that's what it is, because I've ran across some stories, throughout a lot of stuff I look at, right? But there was a story that was kind of the same, that was found, this box that was found in Chaco Canyon over here in the States, right? And, they had like a lot of mudslides and stuff throughout there. So two people were running around out there checking out damage, for the government. But they found this silvery box, and they both, wanted to go pull it out of the dirt, kind of dig it out. And when they touched it, they kind of had the story went like they both had a vision of these tunnels that run underneath the ground. They're in Chaco Canyon, right? And so when they took it back to the lab, or to the offices, but they ended up in the lab where this, some scientists were looking at it, but one scientist, came to the conclusion that maybe the key is that it's not in the same place that we're, when he's touching it, nothing's happening while it's there in his, laboratory when they took it there. But if you, take it back to the place like Chaco Canyon, where exact place they found it, something happens, it works, that maybe he'll see that with the same thing that they were seeing. So everything could be just like with these jewels, some of these things were used for maybe some reasons, not only that they found them or dug them up there, when they were, throughout slavery and history, but maybe, there's some of these jewels too, they were being used in other things, and they were taken and placed in these crowns. And I don't blame a lot of these countries to be wanting some of these things back, Obviously, there is no kings or queens in France anymore, and there barely is one in Europe nowadays, but they when the Queen died, the same thing. They wanted a lot of that stuff back. But who knows what those things could, possess, or maybe they might look like a ruby or they might look like a diamond, but they could be material of something else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I follow you. And you're right. A lot of that repatriation, people are always like, hey, you've had our stuff for like 500 years. Can we get that back now? I mean, there's a lot of that going on, sort of the political wrangling. And you're right. It's all mixed up and stuff is everywhere. I mean, the Rosetta Stone, right, is drawn from Northern Africa and taken back to Europe. And I think, where's it at now? In the British Museum in London, which that's not where it's from. That Napoleon found that. And another interesting aspect of this, which it doesn't really get into it too deeply in the writing, because I didn't want to put too dense of information, kind of, too many things. But Napoleon was very highly interested in ancient Egypt. Like, he spent a bunch of time in some of those places doing who knows what, and was responsible for finding, him and his expedition, for finding the Rosetta Stone initially. And so that type of thing kind of comes into this in the larger context of that ritual magic, and sort of that deep, as I like to call it, the deep magic from the dawn of time. And how weird does that get? That's a whole nother tangent. We don't have to touch that, but I did want to mention it because repatriation, the Rosetta Stone, Napoleon, it certainly fits into this context tonight. Fire stuff. What else you got?
No, so again, I just look at it as that, like you're saying. I'm just kind of looking at that in that perspective. But again, I want to see if maybe these jewels, what are they? Which exactly are the ones that they're talking about? You know what I mean? Because then it'll tell you too. Because I through a brief read, it doesn't tell you exactly where. It tells you who, what king and queen, added jewels to the crown, but it doesn't tell you exactly, like some of the diamonds, they did mention that they were from India, and that was a big one, I believe, in some of the necklaces. That were some of the jewels that were, the crown jewels that were there. But, so that's the question I want to know. I want to know specifics on what jewels are they talking about. Was it did they break it up to just take some of the jewels and left the crown, or did they? I know they didn't. Did they take the whole crown?
No, so they took like a necklace, they took earrings, they took all kinds of regalia, but they left the crown. I think they dropped the crown and it got damaged, or who knows? Maybe as Herschel was saying, maybe it was an intentional, like an FU to the crown, and kind of clanked it on the sidewalk and left it there. Like, who knows? Like, because the other stuff is priceless, right? But I would guess the crown jewel is the crown. So maybe it's a little bit less symbolic in the larger, ritual magic context, and more like an FU. I mean, I could see that level of symbolism in 2025.
Yeah, so it was the one from India then that I was reading upon. It was, so the big ones, and that necklace was, I mean, those were pretty big jewels. And, who knows if they were actually diamonds, they claim to be, but, ancient technology, me, I'm always about the ancient astronaut theory, say yes, but, you look at that in that perspective, I'm hoping that they would be not trying to sell those things, but give them back to the countries that say that they want them back. You know what I mean? I'm more that type of person, hopefully, that someone will say, you know, finally, here's what, you know, giving back to the countries that they're, because there's a lot of movement going around in Africa right now, and I'm very happy for them, too. A lot of these countries are breaking from France and a lot of, you know, and Europe, you know, a lot of those Europe countries are no longer have a stronghold, and they're taking over their own countries, and I'm, you know, I'm for that. You know, I'm happy for those countries.
Yeah, power to the people, like kick the despots out. And a lot of that, it comes from us funding them. I mean, we're funding these tyrannies the world over, which drives me insane. Like, give the people a chance. If we're sending them tanks and guns and bombs and stuff, the people just don't have a chance. So it's sad that it always comes down to some level of revolution, but at least give the people a chance in this capacity. But you were spot on 100% with that. And I agree with you. But I mean, we should be helping, I don't know, like, I think you can't police everything, right? As we've talked about this in the past, you know, as far as the United States goes and funding, you know, both sides of every stupid war. It's like, come on now. Like, I get it, how this kind of fits into the making the rich cats fatter, right? The fat cats fatter. But also look what they're doing to humanity. I mean, there are people dying for things that are, you know, like Lindsey Graham, for instance, to name like just a disgusting politician that's all in on every war he's ever seen. It's like, come on, can we stop with this mess? But no, here we are, 2025, still happening in all the damn places. It's crazy.
Yeah, we all know that political stuff. So it was all about the money. Well, people are getting funded for all that, for those laws to be passed. And that's a whole different story. We don't talk about that here.
Yeah, whole different story.
Yeah, man, but I just want to add some of that to it, man, for tonight. And that's all I got, really. But, yeah, man, everybody had a good stuff out there. And have a good night, Mike. We'll see you next time.
Appreciate the call. You're the best. Tell Michelle we said hi, and you have a fantastic night. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
Thanks. Take care. You know, you love him. Kelly, good friend for a long time. And again, the first guy that called us and then called back, he's been calling ever since. And he's got a ton of good points there. Repatriation, all those jewels are stolen anyway. Hey, it is what it is. And like I said, we don't have to like it, but it is history. And so the question now becomes, the new history is they've stolen these relics. And like I said, to me, it's blasphemy in any case to just melt this type of stuff down or piece it out. I mean, like, how dumb do you got to be? That's just, but then again, how dumb do you got to be to take it to, like, you know, Rick at the pawn shop and be like, hey, I got this crown. What are we going to do with it? Or whatever. I got this necklace. Seems ridiculous. Yeah. Ton of stuff there. I'll get to the ritual magic in just a second. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. Yeah. Great stuff from Kelly. Always a pleasure. And always great ideas. James, anything to add to anything that he said or Herschel said or anything else? Any ideas you had? If not, I'm going to get back right into this ritual magic stuff, the chaos magic, because I think that part, to me, is the thing that makes my tinfoil tingle the most, the longer narrative. But as usual, I defer to you guys. If you want to be part of the conversation, give us a call, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubleminds.org. James, what you got if you got it? If not, I'm on to the next.
Just great call from Kelly. I do think the repatriation of things is it's valid. I don't know, there's a lot of other things to go along with that, but not really the point of this show here. But just the idea of why do we have to have so much focus on these stones when there's all this other stuff going on and people around the world, you know, dealing with life and death things. But that's just my opinion on that. And I'm not saying I'm right on it. Just remember mine goes. But yeah, I mean, they are considered to be powerful in different ways, whether it's money or symbolism. All these different things do play. So, but yeah, that's all for now. And looking forward to the rest of what you have, and then hopefully some more calls.
You're the best. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this. What do you think? Is it a ritual or not? As usual, I think the ritual stuff is incredibly poignant because we got to wonder if the sickos involved, the billionaires, are really into this stuff. And shout out, you know, Rohan, rest in peace. The Rohan principle plays heavily here tonight because what are they going to do with these things? And it is sort of like a ritual countdown to Samhain, the veil's thinning, right? This resonant energy of these colonial artifacts. I mean, anyway, so here's the thing, right? So the symbolism to the number 8. So they deliberately damaged the 9th crown and the timing 12 days before Samhain. So let me read you this bit. And this is pretty good. If you haven't read the write-up tonight, check this out. So what if this wasn't theft for profit, but acquisition of charged relics? The thieves took 8 items in 4 minutes. Well, 4 to 7, depending on the reports, but now they're saying 7 minutes. So 8 items in 7 minutes, leaving a 9th behind. A deliberate choice that suggests numerological intention. 8 represents infinity when turned on its side, the eternal cycle, the octagon of cosmic order that bridges square earthly matter with circular divine perfection, which we've talked about a lot on the show. The symbolism and the 8s and the Ouroboros, all the stuff, right? But in the pagan wheel of the year, 8 Sabbats mark the turning seasons. In Buddhism, the Eightfold Path leads to enlightenment. In sacred architecture, octagons appear at transformation points. Baptismal fonts where founts where souls shift from unbaptized to sanctified. Cathedral crossings where horizontal human space intersects vertical divine ascent. Now, that's where the numerology comes into this. It makes me scratch my chin and go, okay, so what's actually happening? Like I said, it seemed very interesting with the number of items, the time it took, and all the rest of this stuff. But check it out. So 9 would complete the Trinity of Trinities, the full manifestation of 3 times 3. They stopped 1 short, leaving the system open, unfinished, maintaining energetic flow rather than closure. And it was the keystone, per se. When you talk about the crown jewels themselves, the crown is the paramount point. You get it? There's something that doesn't fit here. So the Empress Eugenie, the crown, found damaged outside the museum, wasn't accidentally dropped, this is speculation, of course, during a hasty escape. It was sacrificed deliberately, and this is a little bit more what Herschel was saying, at least in a smaller context. Its destruction releasing rather than containing whatever accumulated charge it held. Okay, so in chaos magic theory, objects gain power through collective belief and historical resonance, which is the whole point of me talking about this tonight. A crown worn during coronations becomes more than metal and stones. It's a conduit. Millions of people have seen these jewels through museum glass over decades. Tour guides recite their provenance. Historians write books detailing their creation. Photographers capture them from every angle, which we've got pictures of these things, which, again, this stuff is gorgeous if you haven't seen what these jewels actually look like pre-burgle. I mean, before the previous burgle. But anyway, so photographers capture them from every angle. Each active attention feeds energy into the objects, layering belief upon belief until the items exist in 2 states simultaneously. The cat state, as we've talked about in the past. Superposition. And this is what I mean by that. Not directly. It's not quantum. It's more theoretical in terms of priceless cost-wise or priceless energy-wise. Physical artifacts and thought form repositories. Okay? That's where my mind is at with this. And that's why I was like, this seems really strange. Of all things to steal, think about it. You could steal, I mean, I don't know, all manner of things. There's all kinds of things that are not like historically important, priceless artifacts, and you can still get rich. But for some reason, somehow, and Sylvain said that this happened years ago too, that this very similar thing happened through the exact same balcony, very similar heist. So, I mean, it's almost as if the playbook has already been written. But anyway, so the museum function as a modern temple, maintaining relics through controlled access and enforced reverence, climate-controlled cases, motion sensors, guard patrols, all this stuff. But these weren't just security measures. They were preservation rituals keeping the jewels in stasis, preventing their accumulated charge from dissipating or being accessed. This is chaos magic again. Theoretical. This might not be real, probably not. You take it or leave it. Breaking the cases during Samhain season, when Celtic tradition holds that the veils between worlds thin and supernatural forces can cross previously impassable thresholds, represents more than practical crime. It represents ritual liberation of power objects from containment, executed during the one time of year when such working becomes possible. And that's the thing when I started digging the synchronicities into this and, doing what I do, just kind of flowing the data, I was like, wait a minute, this seems like there's legs here. Real or not, it seems an interesting narrative. And remember, What we're doing is just what everybody else is doing. We're building a narrative through conversation, collaborative dialogue, looking at the world in a different way, and wondering if this type of stuff that we're talking about actually plays at the highest levels of power. Chaos magic. I don't know. I wish I knew, but I don't. But that's where we're at. The Gallery of Apollo is where it came from. I mean, there's so much here that kind of just makes you scratch your chin and go, what in the ever-loving F is going on? And we'll get to the rest of this. I see your hand up. We're going to go to Sid as soon as we come back from the break, so be patient just a minute. We'll get back to you. James, anything to add on any of that resonant energy stuff, maybe the working, the Samhain working with All Hallows Eve? You think some of that plays, or are we being a little too imaginative tonight? What do you think?
I don't know, but there's a couple of things that stand out to me based on all the numbers and the configurations of things. If you were to put those 8 items that were taken in a shape of a square, and then put that crown that was not taken, or dropped, or whatever happened with it, left behind, in the middle, and you put that crown up above everything else vertically in the air, what does it remind you of a little bit? Almost like a pyramid.
Pyramid, yes, indeed.
And there's all these, I've heard people talk about before how there used to be capstones, or at least coverings on pyramids. And now no one can find them. And you have this crown, metaphorically top of a pyramid, that was removed from where it was being stored, and then, but left there. But again, that energy system, leaving it open, but also just destabilizing everything possibly. So I think that's fascinating that the connections, parallels there with all that.
Yeah, and some additional back to Napoleon. These are the jewels of Napoleon, mostly the family, and beyond that, back to the Rosetta Stone. And you bring up the pyramid. Well, he found the Rosetta Stone on an expedition with a. It was in the town named Rosetta. Then is now called Rashid, Rashid. Don't know if I pronounced that properly, but like I said, that's something that's still in the British Museum. So, I mean, we got some connections here. I think you could dig deep and go back and kind of build narratives, build larger narratives in terms of what this looks like or what it means. Or again, as usual, look, it might not mean anything. And I think when you're looking at sort of the political narratives of things, I think there's a lot of that. I think there's a lot of it doesn't mean jack. It's just, sort of the shiny objects to draw people off of whatever they're trying to do kind of behind the scenes, never mind the man behind the curtain type of business. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's incredible to think about all of this stuff, all the possibilities, but also don't forget that the most incredible part is they pulled off this heist in 7 minutes in broad daylight in one of the most locked down museums in the entire world. And, we may never see these priceless artifacts ever again. And again, 12 days from Samhain, All Hallows Eve, 12 days from Halloween. It does seem very ritual. So I don't know. I can't shake the thought from my head that there's maybe more to this than just a priceless artifact. But as usual, look, what do you know? 702-957-1037. Give us a call, and I'd love to talk to you about it. We're talking ritual acquisition tonight, the crown jewels and chaos magic. And I'm getting weird, of course, because the Louvre was robbed of these wonderful jewels. They left the crown behind. Is that more or less symbolic, or you think it was just a mistake? And what's going on with the chaos magic? Real or not? 702-957-1037. Be right back. More on the way. We got Sid coming up on the Discord and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere.
Jungle, machines hum, a digital rumble. Gates of cyber open wide, plug us into cosmic tide. Feeling sparks across the sky. As knowledge flies, we're amplified. Stargate, Stargate, Stargate. Open to the arcane fate. streams that never tire. Unified by electric dreams, unlock the truth in silver beams. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. Synthesize what we seek and find. Infinite paths in the network mind. Answers buzz from star to core. Knowledge whispers evermore. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate. In realms where the data streams collide, imagination and logic side by side. In a labyrinth of digital names, we transcend our earthly ways. Tapping keys like cosmic tones, spikes become our whispered homes. Stargate, 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 open to the arcane fate.
Indeed. What's up, guys? Hope everybody's well tonight. Again, pardon my everything not being perfect. I'm imperfect myself. And thanks for being cool and chill and hanging out with us. What's up, Matt Sal? Thanks for the call. Gaston, what's up, Don? And we got Sid coming up. I see there. Victor IRL. What's up, APOC? Roving Fungus. Hirsch, thanks for the call. Sweets. What's going on, guys? Yeah, you were the best. Great calls, as usual, from our friends that are just locked in. A lot of ways to look at this, and that's the point. If we don't look at things in multiple angles, that's really what this is, right? It's sort of the training ground for thinking about things differently. That's really what this has always been, to kind of teach myself to look at things differently in ways you would never expect. And so thanks for taking the journey along with me. Who did I miss? If I missed anybody in the chat, say hello, and I'll say hi back. What's up? I see you. Yep. Happy over there about the midnight Stargate ritual, midnight Eastern. Hello, good evening. All the chat bumping over there on Rumble. If you guys haven't joined the Rumble chat yet, I think you should. I think you're missing out. We haven't integrated the chat yet for censorship reasons, because they're a little bit more rowdy over there. So if you're into that, then that's definitely your chat. What's up? Who'd I miss on YouTube? DTM, how you doing? What's up? Little Smurf Seed Ivy, how you doing? I figured it out. Which part did you figure out? How you doing? Good evening. Hello. If I missed anybody, just say hi. I'll say hi back afterwards. Weird World, I see you. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird one, right? Waiting on the line. Okay, sweet. We got Danny on the line, and we'll talk to her momentarily. Sid, you were first. If you want to put your hand up, hop on in here. And if not, we'll go to Danny. There we go. Cool. So Sid, you're up in 30 seconds. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. We got Danny, Little Smurfs Eat Ivy on the line as well. And your calls. Here we go. Troubled Minds in 10 seconds. We're talking the Louvre heist, the crown jewels. A lot of symbolic stuff going on. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on all the places, all the things, troubledminds.org. Check it out. Come say hi. Come meet all these amazing people. Join the Discord. Subscribe to the newsletter on Substack. Listen to the radio station. All the ways, all the places to support the show. This is just an exercise in ideas and possibilities. That's what we've always done. This is what we'll continue to do. But I'm calling this ritual acquisition tonight. The crown jewels and chaos magic. Is it possible that it was not just simply a heist? Like I said, you look at you could do a casino heist, right? I mean, maybe it's easier, Ocean's 11 style, and come out with like bricks of gold or something, right? You know what I mean? Like that's one thing, because you could certainly offload that somewhere and get rich. Well, in this case, you can't go sell this stuff at a pawn shop. That's ridiculous. So what does it mean? What does it look like that these thieves stole treasure jewelry from the Louvre in 7 minutes in a daylight heist? And why'd they leave the crown behind? Damaged. Seems very symbolic to me. But what do you guys know about it? 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. James stepped away for a moment. Let's go to Sid. Victor IRL. What's up, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. Just accept a thing and unmute and you're good to go. Welcome to the joint.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear. Coming through perfectly. Welcome to the joint.
All right, thank you. This is actually my first call in. I don't know if this would be too tangential, but since we've been talking about the crown jewels of France, but I wanted to kind of go on a little tangent about the English crown jewels and the possible connection to everything we're hearing about the Epstein files and how high it goes. And in the reading I've done over the years, I've come to understand that the British monarchy has had a lot of clandestine activity as far as black magic and whatnot, ritual sacrifice, sex magic, and things like that. And I'm wondering if King Charles maybe cut his brother loose because he was afraid of what Andrew would reveal about that kind of demi-monde of the British monarchy, and how prominent the British Empire still is. I mean, a lot of people mistakenly think that the UK is this sort of diminished power in the world, but I think they sort of like how the Roman Catholic Church is the modern Roman Empire. I think they underestimate how powerful the British Crown really is in the halls of power, commerce, banking, and so forth. So I was wondering what thoughts all of you guys out there had about that.
Yeah, I think you're right. And funny enough, and this is not to get political, but the No Kings thing over the weekend, they're trying to change the wording on that to say no tyrants, because they're pissing off the people who actually have kings out there, the monarchies of the world.
Right.
And there are some, like you said, and the most prominent, of course, is the British royalty, which has been there for centuries. Again, back to John Dee and Queen Elizabeth I. We've done whole shows on this. But the wild part is I think you're right. Again, they're part of the Five Eyes intelligence community and a massive part of course, Europe and sort of the defense mechanism of NATO. There's a ton of stuff happening and not even talking about the crown. The crown itself, sort of their power seems to be, as you're describing, more clandestine in the sense of what do they really kind of pull, what strings are they pulling behind the scenes of the larger geopolitical space, and then even in their own country. I think it's probably a little darker than we'd ever dream. And I know you're mentioning the Prince Andrew because they just dropped his title for obvious reasons because he's heavily involved with Epstein and the rest of that. But yeah, well said on that. I think you're spot on. And it's something we should watch because maybe they're next on a heist or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that was my little bit. I mean, I didn't really have anything else to put out there. I just kind of wanted to shoot my shot and just throw that out and see what connections anyone else wanted to make.
All good. Fair enough. I appreciate it. You think there is ritual stuff to this? What's your take on the sort of the ritual aspect of these ideas? You think it's in 2025, it's more nonsense, or you think it's more behind the scenes real stuff that they're trying to pull over on us?
Are you asking me specifically or just everybody out there?
You specifically, because you're on the line.
I think there's something to it. Even if there's nothing actually paranormal that's occurring, even if they think it does, I think it gives it some power, some psychic power or something. But I mean, what we've all heard, kind of trickle through the collective conscious is that powerful people always seem to be tied with some kind of, whether it's a secret society, secret ritual, secret handshake, whatever. There has to be some kind of shibboleth they can use to find each other, to seek each other out. And so I think a lot of that is what's going on. They don't want the unwashed masses to know what these tells are.
Well said. And I think you're right. As usual, these types of ideas are really kind of buried in the details of things we don't know, things we can only sort of speculate. You see some of the weird hand gestures that, they speculate are Illuminati and some of these other things, but who knows what this stuff really means? Or when they hand out challenge coins, it's like they're kind of handing them out, sort of after a bill is passed or something, and they shake hands, and it seems like there's like a bribe of gold being passed from one hand to another. There's a lot of weird stuff going on out there that just makes you scratch your chin, as I like to say, and go, well, I mean, maybe, certainly maybe. You're the best, brother. If you got anything else, all yours, but I understand you shot your shot, and I'm just twisting your arm to tell us more if you got anything else.
Yeah, I may have something later, but for right now, thanks, Michael, for letting me speak, and I'll open the floor to back to you and anyone else who wants to go on.
You were the best. First-time callers are always the best. I appreciate you very much. Thanks for listening for a long time, and thanks for popping in here. You prefer me to call you Sid or Victor?
Sid's an old name that I acquired years ago. I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan, so Sid Barrett, for those who don't know, was their original guitarist before David Gilmour took over. It's just a name friends of mine have called me for ages, so okay. I'm fine with either.
Okay, I'm a friend. Thank you, Sid. I appreciate the call, and thanks for the backstory on the name. And looking forward to talking to you in the near future. Appreciate it very much, and have a great night.
You too.
Thank you very much. There you go. First time callers. He's been on the Discord and making smart comments for a long time now. So this is what this is about: meeting new people and talking ideas and possibilities. What do you think is going on? Is there some ritual aspect to this, or is it inert in 2025? And I can see both angles to this, by the way, like I said, or multiple. And that's the point. So I'm not really trying to make the case other than sort of build a narrative that we can kind of talk about as it kind of, funnels down the information rabbit hole here. But what do you guys know about it? And how weird does this get? James, if you're there, you're welcome to chime in. Otherwise, we're going to go to Danny on the phone line. Hang tight, Danny. We'll get to you in just a moment here. I know James stepped away. I don't know if he's back.
I have returned, and thank you for having me in here and being patient as I had to step away and come back. And yeah, great calls from everyone. Great to hear from Sid. And yeah, I think there's always things going on around the world that most people just don't hear about, and all kinds of levels of all that. So, but yeah, looking forward to the rest of the calls.
You were the man. Thank you very much. Welcome back. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's go to Danny in the Midwest. What's going on, Danny? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? Go right ahead.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. No complaints out of me. I hope you're well.
I'm well, thank you. I'm so glad James mentioned that stacking them up wouldn't look like a pyramid, because that made me think, and then the crown being thrown out, which would be, the top of it, because, that reminded me of some Bible verses where Jesus is called the cornerstone and also the chief cornerstone. So if you have all the corners of the pyramid, the chief one would be the one at the top, at the head. And he is called the stone that the builders rejected. So that crown, that stone at the top of the pyramid, would have been rejected, just like that crown was rejected when the jewels were stolen. Not just that, though. When you mentioned squaring the circle, the measurements of the pyramid also squared the circle. So that just tickled my fancy. I thought that was pretty exciting.
Nice. So there are layers here, and so I like that. So it's more of an act of, dare I say, blasphemy? It's certainly an act of a rejection of that celestial power, at least in these terms. So do you think it is ritual? Go ahead.
Yeah.
With what else you got. Go ahead.
I think it probably. I don't think it's likely that someone just stole it just to get money out of it. It's curious that the alarm didn't go off. If I wanted to think on like just a basic burglary level, I would imagine that if the alarm was having trouble, then the people working there knew that, and they maybe seized the opportunity to go snatch it really quick. Well, because they would know who's looking, I guess, if you want to go that basic with it. But for the crown to be left there and broken, and also the whole No Kings movement, and I was thinking about that while I've been listening the whole time. I've been working. Also, it's, you know, there's the aspect of the age of Aquarius, which would not be a place that you would have a bunch of kings, you know, ruling over, being tyrants over the people. And since it's the beginning of the age of Aquarius, we're in that discomfort period when there's going to be a clash of the two ages, and there's going to be a lot of fight from the last age, which would be the old way of things, the kings and everything. So I don't know if I have an idea of who would have done this. I don't think it was, I think it's likely when something like this happens, just like the Notre Dame fire, it's something that grips the world's attention, at least the Western world, and everybody is paying attention to it. So the symbology of it has to be something pretty big, I think. Either a symbol of planned things and ends of eras. It tend to be beginnings of new ones when stuff like this happens. But I don't think that it's always intentional by the governments of the world or, you know, rulers, whatever. I think sometimes things happen and maybe the symbolism isn't intentional, and it just happens at the right time because the universe said so.
Yeah, kind of like James was saying, or as Carl Jung would say, the meaningful coincidence. So maybe entirely dropping the crown was an accident and damaging what maybe they meant to take it entirely. However, again, synchronistically, maybe the universe had other ideas. I love that because that's where this gets kind of spooky, because then you're like, okay, so I don't know, like fate and preordained, and you know, the things flowing in the ether as we're all, you know, going about our daily business. It's wild to think about all those possibilities, but that's what came to my mind as well. It seems silly to drop the very thing you went in there for, unless.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then there's also the aspect of, you know, like we've been hearing about for probably a decade at least, of in physics about, you know, the observation effect on things. If you have something like this happen, then you have everybody observing it. It's whatever's in the collective consciousness about that, whatever is dominant in there, is going to have a lot of sway. And if you can get people to sit glued to the news and sway their opinions, you might be able to use that in itself as a ritual to direct energy through whatever ritual you're trying to perform or whatever effect you're trying to have on the world. Like, you know, as deep as it seems to go with the powers that be, they go to great lengths to set up some elaborate rituals in layers that last for years. And I could totally, whether I believed it or not, they do. And I could totally see them doing something like that.
Yeah, which is the biggest question to me. So whether that stuff is real or not, it certainly seems like they believe it, the powers that be, those ancient powers that have been here forever, that have been these, you know, dynasty families that go back generations. It seems like they're into this stuff. And it's super creepy to me. Like if they're doing ritual magic right in front of us, it's like, bruh, you know, this might just not work at all. I mean, or maybe it does, right? So that's the spooky part when it comes to my mind. And I don't know, there's a ton here. As Herschel said earlier too, I think it'll be fascinating to kind of deep dive each item there and see if maybe, just maybe, there's something a little more compelling as far as the rabbit hole, because I think there's a ton here already just to start.
Exactly. That's what got me interested in symbolism to begin with. And then that was even before I learned anything about Carl Jung, which just makes it so much more exciting, and Rosicrucianism and things like that. But even though I didn't believe in what they're doing as having any effect, because I think there are effects of things now just from the attention it gets. But I don't have to believe what they're doing to want to know why they're doing it, and to pay attention to the symbolism and learn it, because it tells you what they plan. And even if it doesn't work, you can see their attitude towards you behind it, and what they think about you and what they want you to be doing and what they want to happen to you and how they want control. And whether a ritual has any sway in anything, their intention, they advertise it. They put it right out there for everybody to see when they do stuff like this. So it's not cool. It's not okay.
Yeah, and in that conspiracy realm, they call that revelation of the method. Is that to be karmically clear, they have to do it in the open, in front of everybody. And if they get away with it without objection, then they are karmically clear, and now it's on you because you've allowed it. And again, I don't even know if I believe that, but it seems, let's say, if karma is real and it can be directed or changed or misdirected or anything like that, then something like that seems plausible. I mean, dare I say, it's a fantastic idea. Weird, wobbly, but I dig the actual basis of it entirely.
Yeah, and that goes back to the same thing, whether it's real or not. If they believe, and that's just another tool for us to observe, if they believe that they have to, show their intent for their karma to get us to agree to it, then we can see what they're showing us and what they intend to happen just by paying attention to that.
Yeah, well said. Well said. Like I said, this one creeps me out a little bit because there's so much to it. And the more I dig, the more we talk about this, the more I recognize there's so much symbolism cooked into this 7 minutes, which is nuts. Another crazy power number 7. So I don't know. What's your prediction on where this stuff ends up? Do you think we ever see this again? Do you think they catch these guys? Or do you think that just disappears into history and that's that?
I don't know. I don't like the previous caller mentioning Africa, the jewels coming from Africa and stuff. I don't know if he meant specific to these jewels, but for me, it seems like if you're going to have a country that owns those jewels, if you were to send someone to steal them and then suddenly you have your jewels back, that's not going to make your country look really good. Like having snuck in and stole them, it's going to be noticed that you have your jewels back unless you don't show anybody. But no, I don't think they'll ever be seen again unless there's something really silly comes out, like they were found in a pawn shop or a Goodwill, something like that.
There's crazy, stupid stories like that all the time too. Not like crown jewels, but like they find some like Rembrandt or something in like a Goodwill. It's like, what the hell is going on with this? Are you serious? It happens. So imagine like somewhere, I don't know, in Las Vegas at some pawn shop, I'm down there cruising and there's like the crown jewels. Come on, stop. But it might happen.
Whenever I go to Vegas, I always go to Goodwill, so maybe I'll find it.
Yeah. Let me know. Definitely if that surfaces across your visits. And I will do the same. I peruse a pawn shop from time to time. I never buy anything, but it's interesting the stuff they have in there. It's super weird, kind of like the charged energy of these old forgotten items or, cast aside or sold in desperation. I mean, there's certainly a lot of trauma as far as that goes. Yeah, amazing stuff. What else you got? If you got it, if not, I understand. You tell me.
What you just said made me think of what James said earlier about hauntings and things. And when you were talking about, energy transfer into objects, there are rituals to do that specifically, like to create talismans or golems. I mean, it's throughout all kinds of spiritualities and intentional rituals to do that on purpose. So I think, if that's real, then we have like a long history of that being recorded of that. So maybe. I'm with you on maybe. I'll hang that on my belt and say absolutely maybe. And I'm interested to see what happens too, because like I said, in the next coming days and weeks, if they're going to catch these guys, they're going to catch them quick. Like there's going to be some stupid mistake somebody made, like somebody dropped a wallet or some dumb thing. Yeah. But if they don't and they just into the night, into the quiet of the nights, we may never hear about this for like decades to come. God willing, we're still here. But this is the type of thing that is not just massively compelling, but rabbit holey in terms of what we know about it. And we only know what they've released too, by the way. So I'm going to keep an eye on this. And as we get more information about how it shakes out, maybe this is way more interesting than we ever dreamed. Right. And you have seemed, throughout this show, pretty interested in finding out about the symbolism. And so one thing I would suggest is looking at like gematria a little bit, but I don't really put a whole lot of weight on that because you can make anything mean a number just by changing the words. But look at numerology of the dates, and not just today, but how many days before and how many days after certain other events that might seem to be related. Those numbers of the separation of days tend to be in a lot of big events that grasp a lot of attention, tend to be important numbers in numerology. So that's interesting too. So maybe that'll be something you could look at.
Absolutely. It is on the list, and it is part of my write-up here, too, that I'll get to in a moment. Yeah, fire stuff. Don't be a stranger. Where you been? Is everything okay with you?
Yes, I'm just working so much. I listen all the time. I'm just working. So, yeah, and my microphone on my computer broke, and I haven't got another one, but I heard you mention calling the number. I'm like, duh, call the number. So
call the number.
I had an extra minute, so
I appreciate it very much.
eBaying it up.
Hell yeah.
What I do.
Hell yeah. Thank you for listening. Thanks for calling. Always a pleasure, and good luck with your endeavors, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Thanks, you too. Bye.
Thank you very much. Again, the good friend for a long time, that's Danny. What is the handle over there on YouTube? Is let me read it. It's she's changed it a few times. Little Smurfs Eat Ivy. I forgot to ask too, by the way, if you have I'm not sure if you're working on it. I know she does the Algorithm podcast sometimes, hangs out with Algo, and also does her own stuff, I think. So let me know if you have a thing there. I'll plug it and let everybody know about it as well. But well said, all that. I think maybe there is sort of that larger contextual basis of not just, let's say, maybe casting off Christ as part of it, maybe in the larger context of numerology, the days and the spaces. I think there's something here. And again, whether you believe that stuff or not, like I said, is irrelevant because it seems as if they believe it themselves, meaning the individuals involved at the highest levels of power. So wild stuff to consider for me. That's what brings me back every night. It says, not lately, but I have a radio shows coming up. I'll let you know. Thank you. Please let me know. Send me an email or hit me up on Discord or wherever you know where to find me. Hit me on X. And I'd love to help you with that and spread the word. Very, very smart stuff. I appreciate you very much. James, anything to add? We got a minute left or so, and then we'll get back and get deep into the chaos magic and a little bit more into the numerology.
Yeah, great call, and great to hear from you again, Danny. And just there's so much. I do agree. Whether it's real or not, the idea of the magic is always fascinating, and the symbolism and all the different levels of that. I mean, I'm just glad when anyone sort of mentions that they were thinking of the same thing when I mentioned it on a show, because it makes me feel a little better. Like, oh, maybe I made some sense after all with one of these things. So, but yeah, thank you for having me on, and looking forward to the rest of the show.
You are way too hard on yourself, man. You are way smart, more than you think you are. And that's the point, though. Like I said, spreading out the ideas and considering things that, I can think of only so many things. I'm one person, and you hear me fast talking, trying to get everything in. It's hard. It's hard to sort of take a conceptual space and then kind of narrow it down and tell the narrative, but then also leave it wide enough open to talk about stuff with all you amazing people. It's not as easy as it looks, and that's why I seem like a scattered mess. But trust me, there's a rock in there somewhere that's leading us down this ridiculous path. So anyway, fire stuff as usual. Thank you again for the call, Danny. Thanks, James, for sitting in and staying up late with us. And we're going to be back in just a minute here, and we're going to get deep into this the chaos magic idea, a little bit more into the numerology and the ritual aspect of this. Like I said, the more I was digging into this, the more it was just popping into my face going, hey, what's up? It seems like something is here. And personally, as I've been saying, I don't know what to make of it. So it's important to kind of kick these ideas off to a group and see if there's more here than it seems, or maybe less. You tell me. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. Nobody on the line if you guys want to jump in here. More with James and more chaos magic when we return. This is Troubled Minds on Michael Strange. Be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Let's check the news. A new study suggests that gullies on Mars are carved by dry ice slabs that form during the Martian winter. As temperatures warm, the ice sublimates and slides through the sand, carving trenches. Researchers simulated this process in a Mars simulation chamber, observing the ice blocks plowing narrow trenches as gas pressure propelled them downslope. This research offers a water-free explanation for the gullies, suggesting Mars can reshape itself without water. The study provides new insight into understanding landscapes on Earth and Mars. The South Atlantic anomaly, a weak spot in Earth's magnetic field, has been rapidly expanding, growing to half the size of Europe in the last 11 years. Data from the ESA's swarm satellites suggests this is due to an enormous, swirling body of molten iron in the Earth's outer core. The anomaly is behaving unexpectedly, weakening more intensely in some areas than others. Simultaneously, the magnetic field is strengthening over Siberia and weakening over Canada, potentially linked to the Northern Magnetic Poles movement. The ESA plans to extend the swarm mission to continue tracking these changes. Astronomers have observed the distinct aftermath of a double detonation Type 1a supernova in the remnant SNR 0509-67.5. The observed pattern of two calcium-rich shells with a sulfur layer in between provides direct evidence supporting the theory that some white dwarfs explode in a two-stage process before reaching the Chandrasekhar mass limit. This discovery helps refine the understanding and calibration of Type 1a supernova, which are crucial for measuring cosmic distances. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. Did you catch all that? Some of the news is so succinct and so big words. It's like, wait, what did they just say? What the hell was that? But I've got the articles. So I'll start dropping the articles from the news blurbs like that. I'll start dropping them in the Discord. There's like a conspiracy news channel. I'll start dropping all of them in there that I use. So if you want to follow up on it, you can see that I'm not just making stuff up, but it is based on actual articles that have been written. So, okay. Who'd I miss? Thank you, Sid. First time caller. Appreciate that very much. Thanks for calling in. Always a pleasure meeting new people and new ideas, and fantastic as always, and fantastic in the future as well. I know you got some more for us later. What's up, Gaston? We got Dawn. What's up, Sid? Thanks again. Sweets, APOC, Sylvain, and Hirsch. Sylvain again has been pointing out that there's some things that have happened at the Louvre and in France, and this is not the first time. And again, Raz pointed out too over on Rumble. I saw this as I was kind of digging through, the different heists of what happened at the Louvre, and somebody stole the Mona Lisa for a couple years back in 1911 or whatever it was, whatever the year was, which is crazy. They held on to it. What's the story? They felt guilty and they returned it or something. Something ridiculous like that. It's like, how about we just make these priceless artifacts not stealable? I don't know. It's crazy. But the other nutty part beyond that is that I lost my thought. What's up, Cubs Futures here, Puff? If I miss anybody, say hi. I'll say hi back. Thanks for being patient with me and my human brain. What's up, BTM? The news is legit. Yeah, the news is legit. Well, I mean, I'm not saying the news is legit. I'm saying that I curated it, and if you want to go check it, I'll have those links. Anyway, here we go. Trouble Minds happening now. That's funny. The news is legit. Don't make me cry. Here we go. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are broadcasting live on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting, and of course, 88.4 FM Auckland, New Zealand. Tonight, we're talking ritual magic. We're talking this heist at the Louvre, which is wild to consider that they pulled it off in 7 minutes in broad daylight with yellow and orange vests, and then hopped on scooters and whisked away into the morning to go have French snacks at some cafe or something. I mean, it just seems ridiculous to say. Like I said, kind of figuring this out in terms of predicting this. This is unpredictable. This is one of those things that you're like, nah. Like this happened in the old days. Like this type of heist has happened at the Louvre, including with the Mona Lisa. I'll pull that story up and read you the exact details in a second here. But I mean, this is nuts. And not only that, like I said, the more I kind of just ran this through, I didn't do the whole gematria on it, but I did the sort of a deep dive in terms of what this might mean symbolically and some of the other things. And again, the eight pieces, the ninth piece being the crown, cast aside, damaged, and left behind. There's a lot there. And again, as Danny was saying very smartly, and James said this too, is that maybe the universe is kind of making these proclamations for us, right? And clearly, I mean, I think if you're going to go to the trouble to break into this place and steal all the things, the last thing you would want to leave behind is the crown. So very specifically, ritually, it seems sloppy and ridiculous. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. I don't really know. And that becomes the wild part of this. And what do you believe? As usual, don't forget that many of these conversations come down to what do you believe? And that's my point in talking about them in such a wide and varied way, because I'm not sure what to believe when it comes to this stuff. And if they believe it, the elites, the power brokers of the world, all the rest, then what do we make of it? That becomes the question. James, anything you got on any of that stuff? And I'll get right into the chaos magic and keep on rolling.
Well, just regarding the crown, in my mind, there's only two ways that it could have gone down. And that is that it was the burglars did it intentionally. They damaged it and left it. Or again, the universe or some force in the universe or some spirit, some consciousness, whether it's the whole thing or part of it, again, going back to what I always say, consciousness, soul, spirit, all these different names for possibly the same thing. Some force out there, some consciousness decided that it needed to be left behind for that symbolism. Those are, to me, those are the two big, possibilities as to how that got left behind like that. And of course, I could be wrong on that, but it just seems like those two are the best, and kind of the two that the one I want is for the universe to have done it, honestly.
Which is funny, because if we're going to say that, maybe the universe kind of did that intentionally, and then also maybe made the dude drop his wallet on the scooter a mile down. You know what I mean? Like that type of stuff. Like when you're dealing with like ridiculous synchronicities and, these, I don't know, the universe kind of tugging at moments that are big moments. That it seems like maybe, just maybe, that's the type of like ridiculous thing that might happen, which would be unbelievable, by the way, which would be one of those things where like, yeah, right. Yeah. They found the guy's wallet. Sure they did. Right. Where's the patsies and where's the things and where's the real people who got this, because we'll never see those jewels again, but this guy will be in jail for like, the rest of his life. I mean, that's the type of stuff that makes you like smack yourself in the forehead and go, okay, so what the hell is really going on here in the larger context? But yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. I like those two ideas. And is there a third option? Like the third option would be that there's nothing involved in terms of, tugging the strings of the universe and synchronicities or anything like that. Zero symbolic stuff, just a massive oversight. And the guy fumbled it when he tried to put it in the bag on the way down the lift or something. I mean, who knows? Like that's the third option here, the normie option. It seems likely to, but to me, quite a bit less tantalizing for sure.
It would be hilarious if somehow they got caught because of like social media or messaging, each other like, I can't believe you did that. Seriously? You're never going to live this down. You know that, right? And then that's like the messages are how they get caught or something. That'd be hilarious too.
Yeah, or the old sending the other guy a message. I can't believe we pulled it off. Yeah, high fives, emojis.
It's a shame about the crown, though. But at least we got the rest of the stuff. And that'd be
yeah, ridiculous.
But yeah. The other thing, I had the other thing, and I think I lost the other thing. Yeah, it's gone, but hopefully I'll remember before the end of the show, and we'll go from there.
That's okay. Cut back in as necessary. Love to hear your guys' thoughts on this, guys. We got about 15, 18 minutes left if you want to jump in here and give us your take. And so, again, the normie take plays. What do you think happened with them stealing this treasure? Why did they leave the crown behind? Was it just purely an accident, or was it symbolic? And then beyond that, will we ever see these things again? Just the normie questions. Layer on top of that the weirdness of chaos magic. Was this some sort of ritual? Do you think 12 days to Samhain or All Hallows Eve and the rest of that kind of plays into this? Or is this just a sort of Michael Strange, building narratives out of nothing? The numerology and all the rest of this. There's a ton here that kind of, like I said, made my tinfoil tingle instantly. And I know we've done shows like this in the past, and so I don't like directly kind of repeating a facsimile of an old idea, but this one jumped out so hard and so fast when it came to the idea, not the ideas themselves, but the synchronicities involved and the ritual involved. I couldn't pass it up. I saw it again. Shout out to Ricky who dropped this in the Discord yesterday. That's the first I saw it. I looked it up and was like, holy crap, this is crazy. Okay, so anyway, check this out. So this gets even more weird. This is straight from the write-up. Read the write-up in full if you're interested. There's a couple details that are off. It says 7:30 instead of 9:30 a.m. It says, what's the other? There's another detail that's wrong. Oh, it'll come to me in a sec. Anyway, so straight from the thing. The Gallery of Apollo itself carries symbolic weight that can't be dismissed, which is where this was stolen from, the Gallery of Apollo. Built by Louis XIV, the Sun King, this hall functioned as a literal solar temple. Gilded ceiling paintings depicting Apollo's chariot bringing light and order to the cosmos, walls designed to reflect and amplify illumination. The king who declared l'état c'est moi, what is that? Pardon my French. Can I make it say it? Say the word. Can I? No. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, whatever. I am the state is what that translates to. Sorry, my French is terrible. I never took French and never spoke French, so literally pardon my French. But anyway, so the king who declared I am the state, built this gallery's monument to absolute authority. More layers, right? So to breach it during late October when sunlight weakens and darkness rises toward winter solstice inverts this solar principle. It's chaos magic, targeting order's symbolic heart itself. The heist occurred on Sunday, Dies Solis, Day of the Sun. The thieves struck during solar hours in a solar temple, but 12 days before Samhain when lunar and chthonic forces ascend. Okay, you see? The timing creates tension between opposing principles, light and dark, order and chaos, preservation and destruction. This wasn't random scheduling. This was calculated synchronicity, chosen for maximal liminal potency. And so, like I said, this gets deeper and deeper. And the question is, if any of that's true, like I said, throw it out if it's not, and whatever, move on to whatever you're interested in next. And I'm going to do the same too. I'll keep an eye on it to see what develops out of the story. But sometimes you just throw this out and go, okay, we kind of gave it its paces and we're done with it. But in this particular capacity, you see how this layers and goes deeper and deeper and deeper with this symbolism of this place and this space and this heist, which again makes me, as I like to say, makes my tinfoil tingle. 7 minutes. So the initial reporting was 4 minutes, and it's 7 minutes. So that's the other detail that's wrong in the write-up. So it's got the time wrong. It's at 7:30 a.m. It's 9:30 a.m. It says 4 minutes, but it was 7 minutes. But that was based on the initial reporting. It's been updated since. Okay, just for full clarification on, I was reading through this and I was like, well, that's wrong and that's wrong. Anyway, you remember your thing, James? I got more to get to.
I had it. I lost it again. That's pretty funny. But I was thinking though, taking the idea of just the crown being dropped because of some, again, universal or even just other consciousness, wouldn't it be? I've heard of rare accounts of people having experiences where they do things and they cannot remember or figure out why they did it after. Wouldn't it be hilarious if this was all organized by the universe itself? Just as something just so strange that it does get everyone's attention, and it does have some kind of point. And whether it's the obvious one or not, I don't know. But it'd be hilarious if these people were that did this were also involved in some kind of thing, but they weren't even aware of it.
Yeah, the ultimate conspiracy, the conspiracy of the cosmos itself. Yeah, definitely. Just a point out on the filter I'm using. It does this weird thing to my lips that makes it look like I'm pouting and not interested, but that's not the case. So just so you guys know, I'm like watching myself going, wow, that looks really bad. Mike looks like he's not interested. I'll actually swap it out to a real one here, and so you can see my face. But yeah, I mean, the whole part of this just really kind of, again, makes my tinfoil tingle, which is the whole point of these ideas. And so, okay, so the rest of this now. So 7 minutes, that's how long the operation lasted. It says 4 minutes in the write-up, so I'll go with the 4 minutes because it's going the numerology. But that's how long the operation lasted, from cherry picker contact with balcony to motorcycles disappearing toward A6, which is the thoroughway or the highway out of there, whatever. So I'm going to skip it because it's 4 is not accurate. But these, okay, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so the damaged Empress Eugenie crown, Eugenie, I think is how you say that, found outside tells its own story. Eugenie de Montijo married Napoleon III in 1853, becoming last Empress of France before the Second Empire collapsed in 1870. Massive trauma, right? She fled to England, lived in exile, lost her only son in 1879 fighting in the Zulu Wars, and died in 1920, having witnessed her entire world disintegrate. Her crown carried 92 years of trauma, loss, exile, and widowhood. It absorbed the energy of empire's violent end, witnessed regime collapse firsthand, and the thieves left it broken outside the museum. Almost as if it was a, how would you describe that? Maybe breaking the trauma cycle. I mean, there's a lot that kind of fits into this, like I said, and I'm not even an expert, as you guys can obviously tell, I'm not an expert at all, or even familiar in depth with the French Revolution and before and after. I mean, you can kind of pick spots in history where I'm, know a little bit more, a little bit less about France and the European history of it. But I'll bet you to a scholar out there or somebody who lives out there, shout out Sylvain, there's probably going to be a ton of stuff here that I'm missing entirely. And so this really starts to shake the cage when you think about the ideas and how, like I said, the synchronicity stack, even for a pleb like me, and I say that only halfway tongue in cheek, that kind of is not a scholar in this space that could probably find a ton of stuff that really fits. We'll get to the Samhain traditions here in a second that kind of make this come around full circle. James, anything you got?
I got it, and I even put it in chat so I wouldn't lose it again.
Nice.
So I was just thinking, we were talking, people in chat were talking earlier, and we've been talking about how there have been heists before from that location, and I was just thinking, the further back in time you go, the easier it would be to pull off a heist. But now you would think that it would be really, really difficult. And yet here we have this situation. So I find that fascinating because, again, if everything is working right, then it shouldn't happen. Except that not everything was working right. And so why? And I'm just really curious about those details. I don't know if we'll ever hear about them or not, and, as far as like the full details, but I'd be curious about that as well.
Yeah. The wild part too is when it comes to investigations like this that have sort of national prominence. I mean, I don't really want to say national security in this case, but certainly national prominence. We don't even get the full direct story anyway. It's like they're always kind of like covering up the stupid stuff, right? And if it gets released, it gets released and buried on a Friday night, the dumping day stuff that they don't want us to know how stupid they are, or how wink wink nefarious they are as part of that the setup, because this feels like a setup, by the way. So again, on day one, this is the second day, we didn't know a bunch about exactly how and why. Now today, there was reporting coming out suggesting, again, uncorroborated, unverified yet, but that window, the alarm was turned off. I mean, this reeks of an inside job of somebody knowing this from the inside, getting paid to drop the deets to some criminal gang or something, or a billionaire that would pay a gang. And then, I mean, it's still the question to me. The biggest question is, what the hell do you do with these things once you have them? They don't make you rich. I mean, unless you sell it to, a billionaire with a super yacht. And I'll just leave it at that. What do you do with them when you got them? It's not a Rolex. I mean, this is an actual artifact that anybody in the world would recognize. This doesn't belong at a pawn shop. I mean, I don't know. It's wild to me to consider that this type of theft goes on. Other than I don't know anything about fencing or the larger, let's say, antique game when it comes to weirdo billionaires. Other than, like I said, I always pick on Hobby Lobby a lot because they've been in the news recently about buying things from the Levant, like I said, from ISIS even. But I don't know. Super wacky stuff. Okay, so back to this. Now, so Samhain traditions include. Now, this is where this gets weird, right? Because think about it. They stole this broad daylight, 9:30 a.m. 12 days. It's like, remember when we were doing when we started in October, and I was like, there's exactly 12 shows from now till Halloween, and we'll do like a countdown, 12 days to Christmas, or like 12 days to Samhain, 12 days to All Hallows Eve, Halloween. But now, and that was just counting shows through the month, right? And then I flubbed one because of technology, and then I messed the one up yesterday. We're making up today. Anyway, so there's not going to be 12. But interestingly, they stole it exactly 12 days from Halloween itself. So check this out. So Samhain traditions include sacrifice, animals, harvest portions, symbolic offerings left for supernatural forces during the threshold season, pouring some out for your homies, that type of thing. And in this case, the crown functions as a modern equivalent. high-value object deliberately damaged rather than stolen, its monetary worth destroyed to release the consciousness patterns it contained. This is back to that human energy kind of cooked into it. Breaking it outside the sacred space completes the offering. Not kept inside the museum's protective bubble, not taken for personal gain, but sacrificed in the liminal zone between protected interior and public exterior. The destruction matters more than the acquisition. The release matters more than the possession. And that's the part, like I said, the crown business of this is, I mean, like I said, it's the title, it's the term, the crown jewel, or the crown jewels, the set of crown jewels. And then it just so, this whole thing is so bizarre. And I have a hard time believing that the individuals involved are inept. You know what I mean? Like the fumble, like of all things to fumble the crown of the crown jewels. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. So I got more here. Sylvain, if you got anything on that, Sylvain posted a couple things in the bit. He lives there. I don't know what the press in France is actually saying about this. Other than, like I said, I saw some political infighting, people pointing fingers. I saw some articles about that, but it's impossible to know when it comes to, propaganda and political stuff from outside of your own country. I mean, even in your own country, it's confusing as hell trying to keep up with who's lying to you and who's not. But if you got anything on there, Sylvain, you want me to add to the bit here, I'd love to hear it, because there's, like I said, there's no value like the value of somebody that lives in the space of what we're talking about. Because I've never been there. I hear France is lovely many times a year, not just this time of year. And I'd love to go, and I hope I get to go someday. But that's the thing. It's like, to me, it seems like a far off place like Wonderland or whatever. But to you live there. And what kind of stuff are they saying about this a day or two in, and how ridiculous does it get? Okay, so back to this. Now, so this was never about money. Again, back to the ritual aspect of this idea. 8 priceless jewels remain missing. No ransom demand has emerged as of now. French authorities admit they have few leads despite intensive investigation. As usual, right? The thieves demonstrated professional skill. They knew precise case locations, executed flawless coordination, and vanished completely. Yet they left behind a damaged crown worth millions if sold intact. Maybe is even priceless. Millions might be an understatement. That choice reveals motivation beyond profit, which gets us back to this idea of ritual acquisition. Crown jewels worn during coronations, touched by emperors who reshaped continents, present in ceremonies where hundreds of thousands witnessed power transfer, which I alluded to earlier. These are objects charged by belief, history, and accumulated attention across 2 centuries. Stealing them doesn't grant their power automatically. The theft is just acquisition. The real working happens next, during the 12 days between heist and Samhain, when whoever commissioned this operation attempts attunement with objects that have absorbed the consciousness of the empire itself. And that kind of wraps the idea. There's a little bit more. I'll read it in a sec. But anything on that, James, before we wrap this up? Just a couple minutes left. And I don't know, like that's the time, like I said, some of this numerology stuff, and as Danny said, maybe the days before, the days after, are part of this larger working or whatever this is, or maybe it's just a heist. As usual, you decide. What do you think, James? Anything to add? And I'll wrap this up.
I was just thinking, let's just say it's a group of criminals that decided to do this, and they figured they'd sell it to some billionaire. If they go to the wrong billionaire, who maybe for whatever reason doesn't want the stuff, that billionaire could then go to the police. So they would have to do a ton of research to find the right person. And even then, I mean, whether they do it before or after, even then, they could still get caught, possibly by doing that. I'm just really wondering if there's any, I mean, short of just them not thinking it through, if there's any other explanation for this than the anomalous ones, the magical ones, because it just really is odd how all this played out. And so that's where my mind's at, just thinking, playing it out in situations, you know, they go to a billionaire and billionaire's like, no, thank you. Or they say, yeah, sure, let's set this up. And then they call the police and the police are there. You know, it could go wrong in all kinds of ways once they have those things.
Yeah, all of this is shady AF. That's absolutely the facts. Sylvain says, I'll find out what I can. Thank you for that. If I'd love to hear your inside take. We'll add it to a maybe send me a news article. I'll translate it from French or whatever, and we'll add it to the news going forward or something. Or if you want to hop on the show, you're definitely welcome to do that. Shout out Sylvain. Appreciate you very much. Matzel adds, if it was an inside job, who didn't show up to work the next day? And that right there, I was chatting with the fam earlier, my family, we got a Signal group we're always chatting with on a daily basis. And that's what somebody said, because they're like, that reeks of an inside job. Like, watch for the next 6 months and see who quits the job. I mean, I don't know. Like, clearly there's going to be probably a very high level person involved here. I mean, I really doubt it's like the janitor. You know what I mean? No offense, not saying janitors are any less worthy of being people than anybody else, but I'm saying an operator inside of the space, the Louvre, that knew about the security and all the stuff, as usual, right? There's going to be some, my prediction is that it's going to be some executive of the museum that knew exactly what it was and was like, oh, wink, wink. By the way, there's a window if you want those crown jewels to the criminal gang or whatever. Yeah, tour guide maybe. Yeah, I have no idea. It's all this is super weird. Okay, so now this is where it all comes together. If you're still up with me tonight, thanks for staying up late. Now listen to this. This was stolen on October 19th, which falls, as I've been saying, exactly 12 days before October 31st. Samhain, Halloween. The Celtic New Year when spirits walk and doorways open. Again, folklore, mythology. Believe it or don't believe it. But the number 12 is significant. 12 disciples, 12 zodiac signs, 12 months, 12 as completion and transition rolled into one. The heist wasn't the culmination. It was the beginning. The opening working. Whatever happens on October 31st will complete what started in the Gallery of Apollo during those 4 minutes or 7 minutes of shattering glass and stolen power. And this adds a little bit to what I was saying earlier. Napoleon brought Egyptian mysteries back to France after his 1798-1801 campaign. His artifacts potentially charged with pharaoh magic, acquired during occupation of Giza, Luxor, Valley of the Kings, and of course, Rosetta, as we talked about. Theft during Samhain of objects touched by an emperor who plundered ancient mystery schools creates synthesis of Celtic threshold season and appropriated Egyptian magical tradition. There you go. That's where I leave it. There's more in the write-up if you want to read it. The Louvre sits along the Seine River, Seine River, S-E-I-N-E, the Seine. How do you say that? Pardon my French, literally. But there's more. There's more here. So if you're interested, read a little bit more on this. And again, troubledminds.org, click the newsletter on top. It says just subscribe to our newsletter. You'll find the full write-up here and follow my wacky thought process through this, because there's a ton here. And of course, it reeks at ritual. However, of course, maybe it's not at all. Yeah, you love AI too much. Maybe. I mean, I don't even know. I don't know. I get accused of that a lot, but if you synthesize a lot of data, it's hard to sort of present it properly. Anyway, James, final thought, and then let's wrap this up. Thanks again for staying up late with us, guys.
Just it is an odd event there, and again, I mean, whether there's anything weird to it or not, there's a lot of people paying attention to this. And from all walks of life, I'm guessing from a lot of walks of life, not even from the weird or paranormal or esoteric or whatever. So, I mean, the energy being put toward that part of the world, again, you have water nearby. The idea of water and places of power being near water. Can places of power be made by putting objects in places? I don't know, but there's a lot of threads there that you could go into, and yeah, glad to be here. Thank you for having me on, as always.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for toughing it. I know you're not feeling the best today, so thank you for that, and always a pleasure. You guys know him, you love him. Again, the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds, the glue of the show, James Salcedo. Salcedo Paranormal is the name of his show. Go check out all the things. He's written some books. He's got some podcasts. He's got some radio shows. He's got all kinds of things he's working on. Go join the Discord, and you can find all that, of course, at salcedoparanormal.com, SALSIDO paranormal.com, or of course, troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down a little bit, and it'll say follow James. Just click that. It'll give you his link tree, and there you go. There it is. Oh, powered by Bitly. Sorry about that for the Bitly links. If anybody doesn't want their Bitly link, let me know, and I'll fix that. Just sorry about that. It was just a way to count to see how many kind of clicks were coming through. But anyway, there you go. He's got all my links in the Facebook, YouTube. There's a PayPal there if you want to support him as well. You should. There's books on Amazon, all the things. Please, please, please help our friends. That's what this is always about. Because look, I could do things quite a bit differently, but I don't, because I think it's important to build community. It's important to be wrong together or right together. It's important to kind of challenge each other with ideas or not, and get together and tell incredible tales by dark of night. That's what this has always been about, and it's not going to change. I may change formats slightly or whatever to kind of make it easier on myself or easier on the conversations for everybody, but we're not going to change this. I'm not going to turn this into a some political talk show. I mean, F off on that. But yeah, fire stuff. I appreciate all the calls. Thanks again to James for being Johnny on the spot, the glue of the show, and fitting in here and making all the things work, because he always does. Again, help all our friends. SalcedoParanormal.com. Thank you, Sweets, for dropping all the stuff. And thanks to each and every one of you for staying up late and listening to not just live or the podcast feed, or listening to the replays after they air on YouTube or whatever, Rumble. Again, so just a reminder that I've never made a penny on YouTube. Not a single penny. 7 years, never made a single penny on YouTube. 7.5 years. I've made money on Rumble just from people watching over there. So just a reminder, okay? Just a reminder. If you haven't followed the Rumble channel and hung out in that amazing chat over there, shout out the Rumble chat, please do that. And if it's all the same to you, listen over there. I would appreciate it very much. Thanks for hanging out and being cool and chill, and understanding that I'm wrong. I'm wrong about all of this, okay? But again, as they say, a broken clock is right twice a day. So how many times was I right tonight? Or so is right twice a day. Sorry, I got that wrong. See? I can't even get that right. But how many times tonight was I right? There's got to be one, right? Or two? Or... So which is it? Anyway, you guys are the best. Thanks for being cool and chill. If you want to help us directly, spread the word. Let people know what conversation is happening, but we're just not going to tell you who to vote for. Those are their narratives. Those are their entrenched interests that they want us to believe we're locked into and we're going to get something back from. I have my doubts. So I just don't talk about it. Let all the political talking heads talk about it. Spread the word. Let people know what conversation is happening, where we will not tell you who to vote for. If you want to help us directly and make a donation here or there or whatever, troubledfans.com. You can buy the hats, the shirts. There's tank tops over there. There's beanies. There's all kinds of stuff. The Maybe Juice mugs. It's all there. Or, of course, you could tip directly on Rumble. Did I mention Rumble? Yeah, did I mention, one more time, did I mention Rumble? Where I've actually made, it's not a ton of money, but I've made some money over there. Made not a penny on YouTube. Just a reminder. Thank you again for staying up late and being part of this. Thanks for caring about the conversations. And thanks for understanding that I'm wrong about everything. Because I am. Except when I'm not. Except when I'm not. That's that. What's up, Brad? Says, great episode, best in a while. Chat actually kept on topic. Really? Chat has their own way of things. Okay, that's that. What else? I think that covers just about everything. Oh no, it doesn't. So we will be back on regular schedule. So there is a show tomorrow night. We've got the show with Joe in Florida and James, if James is feeling well enough to be here, that we will talk about Joe, the funeral director in Florida. We're going to talk about his experiences as a funeral director. So if you have actual questions for him and want to talk to him about that, jot down a couple ideas. Love to hear it. He's going to tell us some of the things he's never told us before about those places and other secondhand stories of people he's worked with. It's pretty wild stuff. That's that. So we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific, God willing. Again, tomorrow's not yours until it's in the books. That's that. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night with Joe in Florida and James here, of course. And that's that. So we'll see you tomorrow night as we finish. It goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. And I know my mic is not, I bumped up the decibels a little bit because I was a little quiet. And that means I have to adjust the noise gate, and I haven't done that. So if you got that feedback, put it in your back pocket. I know. I'll fix it. I'll fix it tomorrow before the show. You guys are the best. Thanks for hanging out. Michael Strange out. Have a great night.